2 minutes over time, so we are probably going to start our games extremely soon, just as I do my last couple of rounds of checks, make sure everything's okay, make sure the audio's all right. If it's not, spam in the chat that the audio isn't good. Let's see. Okay, PC audio seems fine. It's just fine for just your voice. Let's get some game sounds in there. Alright. Everything seems to be a go. Let me scroll my Discord up there and let us get started. Where is... Go ahead and stop our pre-roll music and start our in-game. Alright. That's quite a bit louder, but today we have a lot of great games. We have Group 8 with Champian, CPTCrunk, .S78641, the Probe Murderer Massacre, Jasmine, and then in Group 28 we have ColdWarpGates, fellow caster, HatcheryCake, Kaykoose, and NCX. So, with that, we're just gonna hop right into it. I'll go ahead and switch our stream over. Is the title? Hold on. The title of the stream. Okay, the title of the stream is correct. And let's get started. Our first match is going to be Champion versus CPTCrunk in what I think is a Protoss versus Terran. The Blime, if you type exclamation point any of the races, you get a link to the Translation Project Discord. I was wrong. CPTCrunk is a Zerg player, but if you want to go ahead and type in exclamation point your race, you'll get a link to the translation project for it that people are trying to put together to get Korean guides translated for the non-Korean audience. It's a great initiative, a great project to help foreign brood war, as is the CPL, which we are doing right now. And in the top right corner of Eclipse, our Week 2 preseason match, we have CPTCrunk holding up the red Zerg brood, and in the bottom left corner we have Champion as the yellow Protoss, doing yellow Protoss things, sending that probe out to get that pylon and doing it correctly. Alright, pylon there, set up your gateway and your forge and that scout on pylon just to make sure there is not a proxy or anything of that nature coming down. And then CPTCrunk on the other hand has an Overlord coming out, and I believe, I'm going to take a wild guess here, but this might be an Overpool, and it is. So, with an Overpool, I think you have to be a bit more careful, and here's why I don't like the scout on pylon, is because now you have two probes coming out here. Your forge is that pretty far behind, although I guess Champion might have been wanting to go for a Nexus first before the forge until their probe scouted it. Listen, I don't care what C0 and the Blime say. I don't like scouting on pylon, and maybe that makes me a bad player. I'm just extremely greedy when it comes to my plays. Meanwhile, okay, CPTCrunk gets their drone in the scout, sees the forge going down, and sees the Nexus first. Two Zerglings queued up. That could be a third Zergling, but it looks like they're also going to be going to try and build their hatchery here. And this probe is doing a great job of denying that hatch placement. Oh! Look at the jukes. Look at the jukes, this probe. Throw down a pylon. Do it. Do it. Throw the pylon down. Throw it down. Do it. Do it. You won't. Come. Where's the pylon? My God. And now he's gonna get taken out. First time chat from viewer Crystal. KR Crystal. All right. So gateway cannon going up. So one of the great things about that probe doing so much distracting is that CPTCrunk had to like bring their Zerglings down, and the Zerglings had to help actually kill it. And then that means that gave Champion like that extra couple of seconds to get that photon cannon up, and now these Zergs just aren't a threat because we have a probe in the wall. Although I think, don't you need 2 probes for this? I'm not sure. All right, there's the probe transfer. We got 6 probes transferred. I always like overestimate how many probes I need to transfer. I send like 12, but yep, Zerglings staying outside the Protoss main. They don't actually dive in because when you have only 4 Zerglings, this is more like a keep the Protoss honest number. Although with the probe removed from the wall, they might be able to dive up and get into the main, just to be very annoying. Well, and there's a drone going for the 3rd hatch at the 12 o'clock base. +1 on the way. First Zealot comes out. Wall is secured. So good job on him. He is the door. That is his job and his purpose in life, is to be the door. Citadel of Dune on the way, so it looks like Champion is skipping Stargate, which is a correct call. They scouted and they saw that like there wasn't really any gas mining. They didn't start the layer up in time, and they were going for just a lot more of the macro stuff. So Champion decided, hey, let's just go straight into Templar Archives so that we can have High Templar out to deal with the Hydra bus that is incoming. See, Hydra Den and layer started as CPTCrunk is starting to hard drone up. 17 drones to 26. Champion has a really good economic lead, but Zerg can macro and catch up like in a blink of an eye. So might not be as effective as you would think. All right, 3 gateways coming down for Champion. Really great execution of the macro here. And the Zergling, ooh, the Zealots are going to move out, try and engage the Zerglings. +1 and Zealot speed are on the way, so they're trying to get that room opened up so that once these finish, they can just run right over to the base and start getting some harassment done at the 3rd and the natural. With 5 gateways, Champion's going full gateway, man. Really good. This is like what you want to see in PvZ, is this kind of gateway explosion, because it really does like you know, Gateway Man is, you know, you can say Gateway Man, but just Protoss in general is all Gateway Man. There isn't a single matchup where you don't get, like, infinity gates. Alright, so more Zealots on the way. We have legs +1, very, very close to finishing. And now as these gateways finish, Champion is going to have a very dangerous army. Meanwhile, CPTCrunk, however, has a really good SimCity at the natural. I don't think the Zealots will really be able to get a whole lot done, especially as the sunken finishes. You're going to be able to have just so many Hydralisks bunched up behind here. So I am, I mean, it's definitely a strong point for the Protoss, but the Zerg is in really no danger here, right? You just set up your Hydras here and have them on hold position or whatever, and the Zealots just kind of have to dive in and back off. So this whole big attack and setup from Champion won't do much, but oh, that's a lot of unrallied Zealots here, not part of the main force. Okay, there they go. They got their orders. A bit of a questionable SimCity here as well. I feel like a gateway is going to end up getting put here, and we're going to see like 3 Dragoons stuck above this pylon. It just is. This is the kind of gateway setup where, like, in game when I've done it, I'm just like, okay, this is bad. Big Zealot move out. So one of the things that the Zealots, and I think the big target here is they don't want to actually try and kill the Zerg, or they do. Holy crap! All the Zealots just kind of slide right in. There wasn't anything blocking the ramp here. I was gonna say one of the good points is to just target down the Hydra Den. That would be a huge pickoff. But it looks like the Zealots are going to engage right on top of the Hydralisks, but the Zealot numbers that are going to start thinning. The Sunken Colony is still out. Never mind, it dies. And now there is just a couple of Hydras here to deal with all these Zealots. As drones try to throw down Sunken Colonies, they could just run up into the main and hit this entire undefended mineral line. Those Zealots just, yeah, and that's what they're going to do. They're not even going to try and fight all these Sunken Colonies. I think these reinforcement Zealots can probably take out this Hydra Den. But yeah, the Zealots get on top, and that +1R attack upgrade is tearing through all the reinforcement Zerglings. CPTCrunk is just trying to build more and more Zerglings, and with the, yeah, oh my gosh, and the Hatchery was just outside the range of the Sunken, but now the Zealots are going to be able to get on top of it. And Zealots on Sunkens feels a lot like Zerglings on Photon Cannons when it's in this kind of position. So those are going to fall, and Champion actually is going to take this game. Holy shit. And this Overlord over his pervert pillar did not see this attack coming, and neither did I, honestly. I thought with that SimCity, you just get enough Hydras behind it, and they block in all the Zealots. So good game here from Champion. He stays just a little bit longer to clean up the Zerg buildings, and that is going to be our first game of the day. Champion is going to take it with a 1-0. Here we go. Are we on this one? Yeah, we're on this one. Champion takes it with 1-0 over CPTCrunk. Our next game is going to be another PvZ with Champion versus Dada. So just a really impressive. Yeah, sometimes you just build Zealots and you win. Those are the good games. Those are the good games. All right. Champion versus Dada on Eclipse. Champion says that they did that mass Zealot push on Dada in week 1. So now we have our context for if we're going to be seeing it in week 2 as well. All right. Well, it cannot be the same build as Champion is in the top right corner. He cannot build his buildings down there, but he might be able to mirror it. In the top right corner, we have Champion with the lightish yellowish Protoss tribe. And in the bottom left corner, the monster. The war criminal alert. The man who stays in games just to execute prisoners of war. It is Dada 78641. As the Tan Zerg Brood. Because I don't believe in top versus bottom supremacy, so I'm leaving it on these colors, even if it's a little hard to tell them apart. Say Zero would like to talk to you. Shout out to all the colorblind CPL watchers. Blame these two players for picking these colors. This is a entirely canon reenactment of this game. I will not accept alterations again. Oh wow, Champion actually is scouting the overpool again this game. Colorblind mirror must be the worst. Oh my gosh. That's when they do the teal versus red, right? I assume those are good colors for being colorblind. Alright, let's see if Champion can pull off the hatch block this game. They did so well and delayed their opponent. Looks like they are. The tone is that different. Alright. Well, that drone is trying. It's sinking in. It's not. It's moving around. The probe is getting it. Oh, there's a forge going up in the main, by the way. Drone is scouting it. And let's get back to the real action here. Ooh, Champion's probe takes a lot of damage on this, and it swoops back in. Oh, the hero, taking so much hull damage, so close to death, but living so much at the same time. Oh my gosh, look at the movement on this probe. It's just whipping around, zipping like a little nuisance. And then finally the hatchery does get up. As 3 probes come out to murder the probe, but they are scared, they run away, and the probe chases them back in. Champion once again seeing no gas, a bunch of eggs coming, and Champion is going to be thrown down. Yep, they have their photon cannon, and they're throwing their gateway up. This is, I think, a little bit of an incorrect wall. I believe I might be wrong about this, but I am pretty sure the forge is supposed to be like 1 back, or like the forge, the edge of the forge and the gateway are supposed to be even, and the gateway is supposed to be up against the egg. I think that is it. For this position specifically. The sim is fine, this wall is fine. It is fine. But I'm still going to talk about things. I got the wall from, I assume that is brood walls, in which case, ignore me. Anything I say during a cast, I just wish I could have like an asterisk on my voice that is like, don't listen to what I say about playing this game. Unless like you have like no other frame of reference for how to play Brood War, I should not be like a source for information on how to play this. Listen to your coaches. Listen to go look at Brood Walls, the Brood Walls website. And play more in CPL, and you'll learn how to be a good player. All right. Dada setting up their 3 bases. Champion getting that +1 attack. Cybernetics Core finishing up, but Dada's overlords are getting into Champion's bases, so they will be able to see what Champion exactly is up to. And Scimo, help! I don't know how to play the game. Are ghosts a good unit? Yes. Man, Scimo, you got to increase your bit rate. I don't know how to, where do I buy bitrate? So, we'll talk about ghosts once we get into PVT and TVZ. Okay? Go to your OBS settings and crank bitrate up to 6,000. Well, not now. Next cast. Okay. Is that good? I don't know anything about streaming. Is bitrate, it's good? Okay, bitrate's good. Got it. Ooh, look at this probe. Our second probe is out, fully healed. Getting the full scout on Dada, except, ooh, well, is he gonna see the 3rd? He's not gonna see the 3rd. But Champion, meanwhile, is getting Stargate and Citadel of Adun. Probably in response, maybe in response, to Dada have the Overlord in the base. And so he knows that he can't get by on like a really cheesy timing attack. If you have good upload speed, yeah, it doesn't matter. 6,000 bitrate equals HD. Oh, okay. Then we are going to do that because we enjoy the HD. Love to see the +1 air weapons upgrade and the Corsairs. The +1 weapons attack, it's not like a requirement for Corsairs. You don't really have to get it, but for like, it feels like if you're committing to having +1 air, you're gonna be styling with Corsairs. Like this is the style upgrade, right? Because unless you're going like super mass Corsair, like the +1 is basically negligible, right? Like Corsairs will do 6 damage instead of 5. Oh. So, it's like not a difference at all. And so with +1 air, you know that you're going to be styling with some Corsairs now. Additionally, having the Corsair caught up on the OV, it loses some time, especially since, depending on what the Zerg is doing, you kind of need that scouting really early in case the Zerg is doing something really fast and really all in. Like, you want that Corsair over here so that, like, you can know that, like, you're getting, like, a 973 Hydra bust or something crazy like that. Like, something that is just really deadly and you need to get your defenses up. But, or if the Zerg is going Spire, then if your Corsair is caught up on the Overlord, Scourge will just fly across the map and kill it. That has happened to me way too many times. But Dada is not going Spire, so these Corsairs kind of are going to have free reign on the entire outside of the map until, you know, OV speed and Hydralisk speed and all that sort of stuff is upgraded. They might be able to catch a couple Overlords here. Yeah, the Hydras are going to get on top of it, but it looks like this Overlord will fall, and I think that will just barely not supply block Dada, who has plenty of Overlords in production. We got plenty of Hydralisks coming up, plenty of Overlords. Like, once the Overlords kind of get up into the main like this, you really need to like have like 8 or something Corsairs to actually get some damage done. Especially since 8 Corsairs will just nuke an Overlord. Alright, this Overlord kind of who is scouting on the outskirts of the base is going to fall. And again, just you want to get these pickoffs with the Corsairs. You want to make them worth it. And, you know, especially if you're committing... See, Corsairs, it's like if you have a small number, you just want to pick off like those 3 or 4 Overlords to make it worth it. You want to get that scouting information. And then... really, you don't want to be like diving and sacrificing Corsairs to get Overlords unless you have like 12, because in that case what'll happen is you dive, Hydras will kill all your Corsairs, and Jesus, that's unfortunate. But if you don't have enough Corsairs, they'll dive to kill Overlords, the Hydras will shoot them all down, and all the Overlords will be at like 10 HP. Now, with this positioning, okay, so it looks like it is a +1, well, it's not really a +1 timing attack, because ground weapons, is that +2? That is +2. So it looks like a Corsair +1 timing attack, but he really needs to sync these units up, right? Because the big thing is the Zealots tank the Hydra shots, Corsairs clean up Overlords, and then you resupply your army, and then you just keep doing that. Because the big thing is, oh, these Corsairs getting caught, this entire fight is going terribly. So the big reason why that is huge, and oh no, now the Corsairs are staggered out, and so the Zealots are just running into Sunken Fire. We have a... Oh! That was a huge storm. Kills all the Hydras in the base. The Corsairs could dive in and take it out now, but the Corsairs are not coming. But this base is going to not quite fall because the reinforcing Hydras will be able to at least save the hatchery, but man, that is a lot of Overlord kills that should have happened that just didn't, and that is very unfortunate. But the Corsairs finally start moving in, but again, now the Hydras are actually like picking them off and making sure they got him. Overlord's retreating, 1 Overlord falls, but I mean, Dada has just so many in reserve. He really needed to get all of these Overlords for the like combination attack to do what it was supposed to do. Stopping mining on the 3rd, forcing that entire drone transfer and getting that small task force of Hydras it's not the worst thing in the world, but at the same point, like, it's keeping Dada on the back foot, and that lets Champion get his 3rd base up. He's already mining, so really, like, it could have been better, but it was still good. But now the counter push is coming. Now this is really the scary part, is that we have a bunch of Hydras massing up, and Dada can just move across the map. He knows that the majority of Champion's army is dead because the majority of Champion's army was just in their 3rd base, and they're all dead now. And so Champion is really going to have to struggle to try and get these defenses up. Dada has a good opportunity here. They can mass up a bunch of Hydras because, again, they didn't lose a lot of Overlords, they didn't lose a lot of drones. The part that makes that attack super safe is you kill Hydras, you kill some drones, you kill some Overlords, and now the Zerg's larva economy is like really stressed. But if you don't kill a lot of drones and a lot of Overlords, the Zerg just keeps pumping Hydralisks, and then they come and kill you. Champion is going to, like, they're trying to set up, but man, that's 3,000 bank really needs to get put to use. More Corsair, yeah, more Corsairs getting pumped out again. I am a big fan of constant Corsair production throughout a game, just because a lot of times, oh my god, where is it, who's building it, where is it being built, what are we looking for? Please tell me this is it. Oh, we're about to have a good game. So this is with the Corsair production. Well, the Corsair production has stopped. If he was constantly making Corsairs, I would say this is for D-Web. But with the Corsair production start, a second Stargate is being made. I think Champion is going to be trying to do some sort of carrier switch, which well, it's not good. I'll say that, but it's spicy and we appreciate it. I mean, Dada is still on Lair Tech. I don't think they aren't even making any moves to move up to Hive Tech. There's no Spire out, so Scourge aren't really a problem. So, you know what? Oh, and with Lurkers coming out of the way, maybe we can see the carriers try to pick off the Lurkers like as if they were siege tanks. And there's the carrier capacity, +4 max interceptors. And the first carrier has started production as the Zealots are spamming out. Yeah, this is okay, and with the amount of Corsairs available, +2 weapon attack is also on the way. With the amount of Corsairs, they're going to be able to help defend the carriers from, okay, Nablime. First carrier with redeeming a unit name. The first carrier out should be named Pep's Revenge, you know, like a ship name. Lil Pep's Revenge, alright. So our first carrier that comes out is going to be Lil Pep's Revenge to avenge the Zerg, to avenge the probes who died unfairly to a Zerg, to Dada actually. So you know, this is going to be their final stand. Either the Zerg menace will be pushed back, or all of Lil Pep's work was for naught. The first carrier is about to emerge, and with it, so will Lil Pep's Revenge. There he is. The probe has been upgraded into a carrier, while Dada is tearing apart the 4th base of Champion. It was not successfully defended. But Dada's still only on 3 bases, and a PVZ where you're even on bases is okay. Dada is spamming a lot of Zerglings out right now. Let's see what those upgrades on these Zerglings are. +2 armor versus +2 attack, but with +3 attack on the way. Corsairs taking out the Overlords. And a lot of DTs. This is huge. These DTs could jump on top of the Hydras. And there's no Overlord even en route. Okay, there's the flock. The flock of Overlords. Dada has an opportunity to be able to kind of intercept these with the Corsairs, because there's a lot of open ground here where there aren't Hydras. But the Observer is in position. The DTs are waiting back for some reason. They aren't diving in. Every second they wait, these Overlords get closer, and they get closer to the Hydras, which will make them closer to the Corsairs. Unfortunately, then once the Overlords get over, the Observer's going to get poked back, and only now do the Corsairs go to start intervening, but I don't think they're going to be able to get the Overlords. Yeah, see, they are able to retreat back into the Hydras. But we are now up to 3 carriers that Dada does not know about. And with Dada going into a whole lot of Zerglings, that is a lot of Zerglings. +3 attack is almost finished for Champion, and that is really going to be the inflection point here. Dada is getting +2 melee upgrades before +3 armor, and so once this +3 attack finishes, there will be a moment for these Zealots to really slaughter these Zerglings and hopefully open up the path for these carriers to not waste all their DPS on 35 health units. More cannons being put up on the high ground, but those Zerglings will tear through them. Dada just posturing, building their army up. Champion just kind of like living. They're living. Champion's living. But now the Zerglings are finally going to try to bust up the ramp, and they take a lot of shots for the Hydras to start moving up. And now that, yeah, see, the cannons are focusing down on the Hydras, and that really the scary thing is the Zerglings. Zerglings are going to tear through it, and now Champion is going to have to try and backstab on the Zerg. And while the Hydras all the way, the Corsairs are going to be able to move in and clear out the Overlords, and the DTs are going to be able to put the work. But an Overlord is moving into position, and the DTs will get melted if it isn't taken care of quickly. And all the DTs fall right before the last Overlord dies. These carriers, where are the carriers? The carriers are going for the backstab on the Zerg base. Lil Pep's Revenge going with them. What is this? Kill the Nexus! Oh my god. Dada just giving the probe just a moment to realize that this is their death. But they will dive on and they will kill that base, and that makes this attack all the more important. And I mean, okay, carriers over cliffs. I know this is a great position to be in PvT, but how does this work in PvZ? Okay, the carriers move over. How many Zerglings are moving across the map? They're catching off the reinforcing carriers, which means that Lil Pep's revenge. They targeted down the Hydra Den, but there's 10 Hydras in production. Champion just has to not live. One of these, I don't know which one is Lil Pep's revenge, but it's one of these right here. One of the first carriers to be made is beginning to move out and take this fight, tearing down the Zerg defenses, pulling all of Dada's army back. I mean, really, here's the problem though, right? Dada could have just moved in and killed Champion. So what Champion is doing is they are abusing Dada's AI in order to just hit the main base and pull the entire army back. So, you know, if people ever say, listen, fighting against CPUs isn't like good practice, they're wrong. If the natural hatchery dies, oh, and a lot of these Hydralisks are getting caught out by the Zealots. That is huge. Spire in production to get those Corsair, or to get those Scourge on the way. But so right now every Hydra that dies is a Hydra that can't be replaced until that den finishes. And if Champion is able to tear down all of these enough hatcheries, the reinforcement potential from Dada is going to be null. Lil Pep's revenge. These first four carriers still in production, still hammering away at the Zerg base. The Spire is only halfway done. 15 Hydralisks started just as soon as the Hydralisk den completed, and the carriers are going in for the den again. Once that dies, those 16 Hydras are going to be all that Champion has. He needs to retreat these carriers away from where the Hydras can fight them. But the Zealots are reinforcing, and these Zealots will be able to take down a huge storm, killing so many Hydralisks at once. Dada is having to tech up to a hive, but I think this is just the game. And as we look at our final carrier count, we have all 4 carriers still alive. Even while all the reinforcements are defeated by Dada's Hydralisks out on the map. A Hydra Den being built in the 3rd base, but with no mining anywhere, except for a 3rd that is very easily toppled with no gas. Oh no. Now that is a lot of Hydralisks coming up, and if the Zealots don't come and fight them, they might be able to target fire down the carriers, but the Zealots do move back there. Yep. Oh no. Okay, that was a reinforcement carrier. I don't have to worry about if it was Lil Pep's revenge or not. Which carrier has the most kills? Which carrier do you think is obviously the most damaged carrier, the most battle-worn carrier? Lil Pep started their first game with a taste for death and vengeance, but no. Okay, the Hydra spawning in. I just accidentally hit 0. But with the Hydra spawning in, okay, there was a brief moment there where the Hydras might have been able to take out these wounded carriers, but Lil Pep's revenge stays flying, stays damaged, and stays alive. As the Zerg menace on Eclipse finally falls. Dada is not able to slaughter the Protoss today, and Ire is saved. And Champion winning 2-0 in their PvZ matchups. Let's check this list out. Champion has one last match in week 2. It's Champion versus Jasmine. And if Champion is able to beat it, they will have the full sweep on the players in their group. The hero carrier in the campaign is the Gantrathor. So Champion has defeated 2 Zergs, and now the Protoss is looking to fully take over the Kaykoose sector in a PVT once more on Eclipse. We're gonna hop right into it. This is going to be Champion versus Jasmine. In the top right corner, once again, we have Champion. And in the bottom left corner is the orange Protoss tribe. In the bottom left corner, we have, well, Ditmals, who's actually Jasmine, but they are the purple Terran squad. Now, we started this game, we have that sweet, sweet Terran music, which means that Jasmine is actually favored to win here. I don't make the rules, that's just how it works. They have the SCV mining trick going on where they're just mining directly vertical on Eclipse. That is a minor, you know, minor efficiency improvement. In the top right corner, we have Champion, who I've already introduced, doing Protoss things. Oh. Vertical mining. Okay. Alright, Ditmals sending, okay, building their supply depot out for the wall on the low ground. So this will help making getting their expansion a lot quicker, but it can be more vulnerable to faster Protoss attacks, because so many of your buildings are going to be on the low ground. Meanwhile, though, Champion, I think, is looking like they're just going to be playing for standard Protoss stuff. Probe in production. They're on 10 supply. We'll see the gateway coming down here. No, he's not. No! Champion, no, you're not. You fucking mad lad. Oh! The 12 necks on the 2-player map. Oh, the balls. The balls, the giant brass probe balls on this Protoss player. Now Jasmine. She has set up her wall. Champion. Well, now isn't that just something? Probe begins moving up to scout the Terran's main and has full vision. First Marine's going to pop out soon, but that is really unfortunate that Probe can slip through there. Alright, first factory goes down. Do we see the SCV pool? We don't. That means Champion is going to be looking at something akin to a 2-fac push. Marine comes up, is going to start chasing this Probe away, and that Probe is going to run. Alright. Yeah, so with the SCV still mining gas here, it is going to be a 2-fac push from Jasmine. She's setting up more supply depots around, putting it behind the base here. The Probe is just wanting to stay in the base as long as possible because it wants to confirm that there's the 2-fac going on. Because unfortunately, at a certain level of play, you can't confirm that it's a 2-fac just based on the SCV minings, because sometimes players just don't move them off. So Probe is at very low health, and now's the moment. You see that Jasmine, she has her 200 minerals up, and the SCV is in position for the second factory. However, Champion with the wounded Probe is not going to be able to see it, and the Probe leaves just as the factory starts. But Champion, I feel like they have to assume that it is a 2-fac. If you assume it's anything else here, you probably just die, and they're gonna need a second gateway as soon as they have the resources for it. Like if the thing is, if Champion like techs here, they're just straight dead. I'm pretty sure. Like if Champion goes like, okay, one gateway, let's get our robo up, like they're just gonna die. They need the extra gateways to be able to fend off the Terran aggression, and they just get the robo. Now again, I don't know. I can't say enough to say that this is like Champion's going to die here. But it really does kind of feel like this is like not the good. This is like a not the good variation. This is not a 2-fac variation, but again, Champion didn't see the 2-fac. The probe left just as the second fac started, and so Champion doesn't really know that it's a 2-fac. And there's the second gateway. So the robo was started first, but with the second gateway being this late, oh man, that's going to be a lot of tanks coming up, and Champion's going to have to rely on some kind of build here. Now they're getting the Citadel of Adun. If they do a quick tech into Dark Templar, this can also save this, it can also prevent the push, because DT's just kind of, if you're very careful about Vultures and Spider Mines, DT's can, like, deflect a 2-fac. ColdWarpGates in the chat says that this is fine because the RoboBay can build Champion a shuttle to take them into the next game. And that's okay. Alright, here's the move out from Jasmine. Has her tanks, the Marines heading across, and from this point, that's it. You just constant production of Vultures. So this is definitely going to do a lot of damage. At the very least, it's going to contain Champion. Like, they will be able to set up the contain here. It doesn't look like any SCVs are being rallied with this attack. Usually when you're doing like a 2-fac push like this, you want to see 2 or 3 SCVs brought with it so that they can build missile turrets to really solidify the contain. Champion moving out again. Okay, and doesn't see the 2-fac. They're going to get into the natural, and I honestly think that this is just the game here, right? Like, the siege tanks are just going, ooh, unless Jasmine gets greedy, and now all the Vultures are dead. They needed to really just set up a position here, but they tried to push the ramp. Champion does have enough units, but siege mode starting, the natural is dead, and I think that, yeah, that's the game, right? With good Dragoon targeting, the siege tanks will be able to tear through the bulk of Champion's forces. But man, Champion doing a great job of getting the Zealots just rallied onto the tanks, but unfortunately with the Vultures coming up, that is going to be game. Or at the very least, that is going to be the death of this natural. And with this natural, Jasmine is going to be able to also take their own natural and just really solidify a contain here. And there really isn't a lot that Champion will be able to do to deflect this. They do have a probe out on the map with the hidden nexus. Now, this could be the move. If Champion is able to sneak a hidden nexus out on the map and Jasmine does not notice it, as long as Champion stays alive, the math is going to favor them, right? Jasmine hasn't gotten their expansion, and Champion just has to live. But with that production of Zealots, with mostly Zealots coming out, these Vultures are going to be able to get up into the main and start hammering probes. There's no pylons blocking the back of the mineral line. Oh, that Spider Mine was scary, but it looks like... What the hell is wrong with this? It's clipped on the gateway. What? Alright, well, the contain has been set up. Again, Champion just has to hold this ramp, and they have to prevent Jasmine from pushing them up. And if they can do that for long enough, the hidden fourth will be able to like maybe bring them back into this game. Because you see, the supply does favor Champion, the worker count does favor Champion, and the base count will favor Champion. Now the shuttle, I love this play. They're gonna be able to drop Zealots on the tanks, tank the fire. Don't move the Dragoons up first, but yeah, see, now they're aggroed on the Dragoons instead of the tank. You need to drop the Zealot first, but the second Zealot drops, and this one is focus firing Zealots on the high ground. But that first tank falls. There's only one tank left in the army, only one coming up to reinforcement. Where's the macro rounds from Champion? Champion, please. Okay, you've gotten rid of the tanks. Now you need to build Dragoons to get rid of the Vultures. Oh no, the fucking wall. Now here's the thing, right? There is a missile turret going up, which means when this tank sieges up, there is one more opportunity for the Zealots. You just drop all the Zealots and you can kill the siege tank. But he needs to be rallying Dragoons. Why is he building Zealots? Oh my god, no, the Zealots are just heading straight forward into the minefield. Champion getting their fourth base up. Very relaxed. Meanwhile, Jasmine is getting their natural up. Again, Champion just has to break out. They just have to not die and they have to break out. This is so unfortunate. Templar Archive's coming, but I mean, shit, dude, one base Arbiter can work. And Jasmine's just continually reinforcing. This is huge. Like, getting the fourth base, this is what is keeping Champion in this game. If Champion didn't sneak this, they would have lost by now. Like, they just wouldn't be in the game at all. But with the double shuttle out, shuttle play feels so strong, and this is definitely breakable. Drop a Zealot right in here, Mind Drag, drop a Zealot here, Mind Drag. Like, these Zealots just need to all be in shuttles right now. Where's our other shuttle? We had two. What are we doing? The probe transfer, but the SCV is going to catch it. And if Jasmine notices the shuttle moving over, then Jasmine will be able to know that this base is up and go kill it. Okay, the push is coming. That mine explodes, does huge damage to all the Zealots. Big drop the... Okay. I lost my goddamn mind here, but the contain should be broken now. There's enough Dragoons who are getting caught up on a barracks. Oh, okay, but the contain is broken. Jasmine, I don't think they noticed that the fourth base was up, and now if Champion gets their third up, they're going to be able to get their second up. Their natural, they'll be able to get their third up as well. Meanwhile, back at home, we have, you know, Jasmine is having to move into a more defensive position. We have a 7 probe lead here from Champion, and Champion, I think, can just immediately get this natural base with the expansion broken like that. Champion, I think, is gonna go for a bust actually, and I think Champion can do it. And really, it is the MVP of this fourth base. I mean, just look how many probes, right? Like, that is 9 probes mining, which means that basically all of Champion's probe lead is from that fourth base. Now, if they move in quickly here, those Zealots and Dragoons will be able to bust this. And the Observer knows it. The Observer has vision. Oh, a bad tank rally. Loses 1 tank again. Champion just has to okay, they're waiting for the Protoss High Templar to get up so they can cast Storm down on some tanks. Again, Jasmine is just setting up the defensive. I mean, every second they're laying these minefields out. This is just making it actually impossible for Champion to win this in a bust style. Oh, and now Champion definitely knows that this this missile turret is here. Yep, and now that Observer dies, but these Zealots are going to come up and kill this SCV, kill this missile turret. And I think Champion is in a good spot. Ooh, really great, Zealot, Vulture move out. Now the Champion's pulling the trigger, and that is a lot of Spider Mines. I don't know what's getting damaged here, but it is all Terran all the time. All the Zealots are traded, and now there's just tanks here. Storm goes down on the mineral line. Where's that High Templar? That man killed 6 SCVs with just a single thought. And with that, I think Champion is going to kill this this Terran player. Jasmine is going to get knocked out, and Champion is going to take this game, this group. They're going to take this game, and with it, this group, they're going to take it 3-0. But Jasmine staying in it, staying hard. They do have a siege tank on the high ground, which is going to make it really hard for those Zealots to do anything. But oh, a storm on the ramp would be huge. But I don't think we're going to see it. Instead, I think we're going to see Zealots start to bully up the ramp, help these Dragoons get up on the high ground and get on top of these factories. And there go the Zealots getting just taking the fight where they can. Focus firing down on some SCVs. Actually, a siege tank, I think, killed some of their own. Wow, that siege tank just killed 3 SCVs on its own. And now here is the TIE Templar with the other Storm. Unfortunately, just getting a lot of SCVs in the red. If they get hit by some splash damage, they will all die. But with the constant Zealot reinforcements, I think Champion will eventually topple their opponent. Especially if Jasmine moves down, like starts moving their army down, they will fall. But here is it again. This High Templar still living. Our tier 3 hero, Champion. Huge probe transfer over to the 4th. Champion's base is mined out. And they're finally getting their natural up. No gas income on their 4th base. And Jasmine is reestablishing. Their main is running low. And that is a dangerous minefield when you're facing just mass zealots. Looks like Champion is just committing to the mass zealots. But they've re-established their mining. We have a single vulture moving across the map that's going to get a lot of damage done to these. Oh wait, no, is that a photon cannon? That's a photon cannon. Never mind. Probes are safe, and that is a lot of zealots in reserve waiting at those gateways. But as soon as I say that, they start moving, of course. But again, Champion is just really massing on those zealots. Jasmine though playing really well out of her mind, getting down into the natural, reestablishing it, and sort of resetting up their defensive line here. They're laying the mines out, spaced pretty well. But now once the Dragoons start, has a lot of probes. That's funny. Okay, big fight coming down. Champion, oh yeah, Jasmine tried to move out, but Champion is going to be running into it. Unfortunately, the Zealots are getting caught up on... Whoa! Why do Terran ever build spider mines? It only backfires. Alright, and the Zealots are going to keep tearing through. We have another wave of reinforcements. And I think with this is going to be the wave that Champion needs to topple the opponent. The spider mine fields are getting thin. But Champion is going to pull the trigger and get on top. Wow, huge mine hits, but again, I think those mines are just getting dragged into the main of the Terran. And, wow, the Zealots are just going straight up the ramp. They are securing this ramp for the rest of this push. Spider mine going down. The Zealot, I think, killed one, but a second one was laid down, and the Dragoons are just going to move forward, taking apart these SCVs. Yeah, and we have one High Templar with the Storm. The Storm is taken out by those backstabbing vultures, but the Dragoons get up into the main, and with it, they get into winning this game. Oh, and Jasmine tried to establish their 3rd base. Great game here from both of our players. That 2-fac was looking deadly, but I think Champion was just barely able to out-macro and get good engagements on it. Zealots getting on top of the siege tanks, finishing it off. Jasmine staying in the game on a hope, on a prayer, and you know what? We love to see it. It's much better than leaving early. So again, GG's to both of our players, and especially GG's to Champion, who takes their group 3-0 in each of their matches. So Champion is the undisputed winner of Group 8. Our next match is going to be Dada 78641 versus CPTCrunk. Let's get those games loaded. So we're going to be looking at the first ZVZ of the day. The greatest matchup, in my opinion. Let's switch over to our game and let's get started. Hopping right into it. Both of these Zerg were defeated by Champion, and so now they have to fight amongst themselves for the scraps. In the top right corner, we have CPCrunk with this drone questioning his life. What does it mean to be a drone? It means he needs to mine minerals, and he does go and do it. In the bottom left corner, we have Dada as the white Zerg. Both overlords moving out. Both players getting their overlord at 9. Guessing this is going for some kind of overpool. Unfortunately, I think that bit of an unfortunate drone split at the start from CPTCrunk is putting them pretty far behind Dada. No, okay, so both players going for a 12 hatch rather. Or not a 12 hatch, but a 12 something. And it looks like it is going to be a 12 hatch, so both players are going for a 12 hatch. I stand corrected, Dada. Jesus. So it's going to be 12 pool versus 12 hatch. I am pretty sure that favors our red Zerg. Because they will have the extra larva from the hatchery ready. But Dada squeezing out a couple extra drones here again. It is really just that that early drone split just gave Dada. It feels like it is kind of just like exponentially working here, where like that early drone split. See how many extra resources Dada has here. As they're getting their hatchery, they have 2 extra drones a lot sooner than Crunk. Zergling speed has already started. So yeah, definitely a interesting just an interesting thing to note how extreme like that split can end up being in a matchup as tight as ZVZ. But okay, 4 Zerglings on the way for Crunk, whereas Dada's only getting 3 initial Zerglings. Never mind, they're getting 2 extra Zerglings as well. Zling speed has started for Crunk, and as the Overlord kind of is getting into the mains of the opponents, both players are going to have a better idea about what exactly their opponent is doing. And both players are going to start moving. Actually, Dada was going to start moving across the map, but I think they see just how many Lings Crunk has, and they're going to pull back to be more defensive. After all, Crunk does have the extra hatchery, so they are producing a lot more drones. And they're squeezing in an extra drone here. That is super sick. And that's going to be a huge difference here, the 13 drones to 12. Both players getting up into lair, and you can see that the builds have kind of normalized. Zergling movement is still like on the way for Crunk, but both players are getting their lair at the same time, and an engagement here from Crunk that is not a good one. The speed Zerglings really are so good in a fight, and with that kind of engagement, I think Dada is just going to start moving across the map and putting the pressure on. When you take an engagement like that, like you know your opponent is forced into getting a shitload more Zerglings, and you can start moving across and being aggressive because your opponent, like the Zerglings your opponent is getting, isn't like going to overwhelm you. And they're getting on top of that, that extra drone is going to fall. It's 14 drones to 11, but those are not Zerglings, and they're getting on top of the Zerglings spawning from eggs. Those Zerglings are all dying, and we have to have drones built on the high ground. They're kind of blocking the way for CPTCrunk's own Zerglings, and this hatchery is getting torn to shreds. This is actually insane. This is huge. Dada is going to be able to get this hatchery down, and that means that once we get into the later stages of the game, there's going to be 3 less larvae available for CPTCrunk. And, you know, when you're building straight Zergling, straight Mutalisk, shit, Dada might even be able... Okay, Dada just barely isn't going to be able to bust up the ramp. And with 2 sunken colonies here in not great positions either. So more additional links coming out from Dada. And now Dada has the drone lead. Spire actually coming out first from CPTCrunk has a bit of a head start, but again, with 2 working bases here for Dada, I don't think it will really matter. Dada has such an overwhelming advantage, like tempo-wise, in this game. They have so many extra Zerglings, they have extra drones. You can see it's an 8 supply lead in ZVZ, and that's huge. Dada coming back in, just putting the pressure on, keeping Crunk honest, but again, with 2 sunken colonies, there's no way that Dada will really be able to bust this with Zerglings at this stage of the game. They're going to have to wait for Mutalisks to come back. Meanwhile, again, the Overlord of Dada leaving the main. I mean, they know the Spire's coming, but again, once the Spire finishes, Crunk is only going to have 2 larvae for Mutas. And those are going to start immediately, but once Dada's Spire starts, they're going to have a lot more, at least 4 Mutalisks spawning at once. Alright, Crunk is going to try to move across the map, but as they do, the Zerglings are going to get into the main. You know what? That is it. That's the game. That's right there. They just need to focus down they can kill some drones, but they can. They might be able to focus down the Spire as well. That one drone, Zergling doing a lot of work, but 3, 4, 5 drones falling, 6 maybe? 6 drones falling. That is the game. I mean, that's it. We can just say that is it. CPTCrunk tried to get in, but Dada had sunkens of their own, and now that Mutalisk expansion is going to be insane. Crunk can build a couple more Mutalisks, but it's 2 in production to 5 to Dada. Dada can just move across the map and take the fight and win. And yeah, GG's from both of our players, and sometimes it be like that. It really does come down to that early drone push, putting the resources of Crunk just that little bit behind, delaying the Zergling speed movement just that enough, so that when Crunk tried to take that first engagement, it was an overwhelming failure. But Dada splitting across, picking Crunk's Mutalisks apart, and just going to keep moving across the map. And they pass each other. Armor on the way for Dada. Crunk is about to just die, yeah. They're going straight for the mineral line. They're going to pick off enough drones. And that is going to be that. Supply block here from Dada, actually. And with Mutas in the mineral line, all the drones are dying. CPTCrunk GG's. And Dada takes the game. An exciting ZVZ. Let's go back over to our splash screen. Record the win for Dada. And our next match is going to be Jasmine versus CPTCrunk in a TVZ. So I'll go ahead and get that loaded up. Oh shit, okay. Let's switch the stream back over. Jasmine versus CPTCrunk on Eclipse in a TVZ. I accidentally, I auto-brained and just started the replay immediately. So here we are at the game, here we go. In the top right corner, we have Ditmals, or Jasmine, in the purple Terran squad colors. And in the bottom right, bottom left corner, not the bottom right, there's nothing there. In the bottom left corner, we have CPTCrunk, representing once again the Red Zerg Brood. Hope y'all are ready for some Marines and some, oh, okay, I'm sorry, the Magenta Terran. Actually, yeah, this is magenta because purple is a different color. This is like one of the new colors, one of the remastered colors. Purple is like darker than this. Alright, now it's time to see what exactly is going on here. We're going to see Yep, Jasmine once again putting that supply depot on the low ground, establishing that wall, make it expanding a little bit easier, but also still once again kind of vulnerable to certain busts. Crunk, meanwhile, getting their Overlord out. Ugh. 12 Zerglings is a 12 hatch. SCV getting their barracks up. We'll have Marines, probably a bunker right here or something. And then we'll have the expansion refinery also on the way. So it's not going to be like an extremely greedy expansion. It's probably going to be a fact expand, which is fine. Jasmine had the opportunity to be extremely greedy here since CPTCrunk was going more for the 12 hatch stuff instead of like a really early attack. So this wall setup, everything is going a-okay. The drone finally gets over, sees the wall, scoots on in. It's like, don't mind me, I just am checking out the premises. Gonna come up, see the gas, and be like, oh, okay, you're doing a fact expand, and that's gonna be the game. Marines on the way. Factory at 100 gas. And the SCV is gonna move out the scout. There we go. But and then also we're probably going to see Marine kind of in constant productions. Oh, yep, that Marine's going to start picking at the Zerg. But with the extra SCVs on gas, drone dies, I think Jasmine might just be going for a 2-fac in TVZ. So that's something. Oh no, what? So that is, how do we feel about this? Alright, a Vulture started but then canceled. An SCV started, and I think we're going to see the command center before the Vulture. Jim says it was calling me, and they had to, and you know what? I respect that. Alright, command center going up, but that is really all they have to defend. Well, they'll get Vultures out, and Vultures can kind of fight Zerglings, so that works. So once that first Vulture, we'll probably see a machine shop, and the Vulture might move out and get some harassing done. I'd like it could move out and maybe start picking off Zerglings, and in that case, pretty good. Armory going down, so it is going to be like that 2-fac Goliath build that is decently popular. I've heard that it's kind of been falling out of favor because Zergs have kind of been learning how to adapt to it, but at the CPL level, that kind of meta stuff doesn't really apply as much. It is just like, do a build, execute it well, and see what happens, and hopefully your opponent doesn't, like, you know, have the hard counter to it. So I think this will go well. Yep, and there's that Goliath missile range. Yeah, 2 Marines and the Vulture get out on the map, and you can see CPTCrunk rather is laying down the creep colonies, which is yeah, smart. So yeah, Jasmine's gonna kind of swing around, see if they can get any damage done, and unfortunately, if they aren't careful, they will just lose this whole army. And they've also left their main kind of exposed for these 2 Zerglings to come in and get some damage. But Jasmine going straight to the third. The Marines one Marine is getting overwhelmed, unfortunately, and I think, yeah, they're gonna lose this entire, like, sort of expeditionary force here. A bit of micro going down, but you know that Marine is not fast enough to out micro the Zerglings, and the Zerglings are going to get on top of the Vulture. Well, no, Vulture. That is one evasive bikey boy, and he gets out pretty with minimal hull damage. Yeah, Hydra's coming down from CPTCrunk. So Hydras are interesting. They don't do well. No, he's getting into lurkers. What am I saying? Like, I doubt this is going to be like dedicated Hydras. I think like as soon as that Hydradin finishes, we're going to see lurker aspect start. Or, you know, when CPTCrunk gets around to it. I think like the Hydradin is for lurkers. It's not for Hydralisks. That is a lot of Goliaths coming out, and in fact, CPTCrunk is actually hard teching, getting their Queen's Nest up like immediately after that Hydradin finishes. With double Evo chambers, there's the lurker aspect. So yeah, they're going straight, hop and a skip up into Hive. As this Vulture and Marine are gonna once again kind of try and just scout out and see what they can get done. That is a lot of Goliaths. That is a lot of Goliaths. The Goliath like attack is supposed to have happened by now, right? I'm not crazy. I guess they have to wait for siege tanks, but that has been straight producing Goliaths. Like that's a full control group, or close to a full control group. Like I feel like once the lurkers get out, like the attack isn't feasible anymore. And there's really no detection. I think the academy has started, so Comsat station is coming up, and so yeah, now the Goliaths are gonna move out. And I mean, at the very least, they're going to be able to pick off overlords. Yeah, and that bunker, that barracks lifts, and that overlord dies. CPTCrunk is for a moment supply blocked here. I think yeah, the Goliaths are just going to keep moving over. If they kind of jump up here, they will. Yeah, they do see the overlord, and that overlord is also going to die. So yeah, CPTCrunk is getting supply blocked here, but they do know that the huge Goliath army is coming for them. Hydra's out. Vultures, spider mines, siege mode, all being researched. We have a couple siege tanks in production, and mostly just reinforcing these Goliaths. Again, I don't think there's really any spot for these Goliaths to kind of get damage done. I mean, there's just sunken colonies going down everywhere. There's a huge, like, good sim city at the natural here, and I mean, they have to fight up a ramp here. Like, I just don't think it's possible, but they're gonna try. Jasmine gets up the ramp, does a lot of damage on. Oh, they're picking off overlords, but yeah, so. Yeesh, that is an unfortunate fight there. They do get rid of the Zerling, so now if they kind of push up, they probably can fight this, but CPTCrunk is responding and is coming up to backstab them. Those Goliaths putting out a lot of damage, really killing those Zerglings, really taking the fight to the Hydras, but the Hydralisks just have too much damage output, and the Goliaths are going to have to run. More Goliaths on the way, but Jasmine is getting into Ultralisk Caverns. And with Ultralisk Caverns, we should also be seeing the Defiler Mound come up as well. And Crunk is probably going to be looking to take their 4th base relatively soon so they can get up into that 4 gas Zerg late game production. You can see that the Hydras haven't really started morphing to Lurkers because, again, I think Hydras are just good enough. When you know your opponent is going for that many Goliaths, you just want to probably keep the Hydras. The Lurkers are mostly just for anti-bio stuff. And Hydras do well enough against Goliaths. Tanks are a different matter, but again, you're getting into Ultralisks to tank the splash damage from the siege tanks, and you will be getting into those Defiler dens pretty soon. Jasmine going up to 3 bases here. Now that is big. If Jasmine can kind of keep the Zerg on 3, or CPTCrunk doesn't, if CPTCrunk doesn't like keep the expansion parity, they have to stay 1 ahead of the Terran. Then the Terrans will be able to just out-macro them. Improved Ultralisk armor on the way. Second armory coming up, and we're going to probably see 2-1 started. Yeah. So we're going to see 2-1 started for our Terran player, but Jasmine is really more just about getting into that defensive posture here. But CPTCrunk is attacking from all sides, and that is a lot of Hydralisks. Those Goliaths have to pull back, these siege tanks have to siege up, but they are not. And so there's no spider mines laid out here to stagger the Hydras either. Now, again, siege tanks can tear through Hydras, but if Jasmine isn't careful, they really need to reinforce with everything they have. You know what, that might just be too many Hydras. Oh, one big spider mine take out a bunch of Hydras there. Oh, a spider mine did something somewhere. I think Jasmine might actually be holding this. All those Hydras that were such a huge army, it just is like all gone. And now, yeah, Jasmine is inching forward, just getting those spider mines set up. Oh, and the spider mine comes up. Ooh. Spider Miss is like, bitch, you won't, and then burrows again. So I don't want to. Once again, spider mine comes up, just doing the poke up, poke down, poke up. Yeah, you can see Jasmine's trying to bait the CPTCrunk into overextending and walking into the spider mines, which is again really good play there. But CPTCrunk is also doing really well in counter macroing. Both players really just trying to get their position up. Now CPTCrunk getting into that position to take that 4th base, and they needed to take it yesterday because Jasmine already in position to take their 4th base. As soon as the pressure from this Zerg is lets up, Jasmine can land that CC, establish their defenses, and then this becomes an infinitely harder game for CPTCrunk. But really, the key point is Zerg getting to 4 gas. They'll be able to make Defilers, they'll be able to make Ultralisks, and also they'll consolidate this bottom right corner, and they can take this other expansion pretty easily as well. So again, they're doing a great job of keeping the. That's a big splash damage there. These SCVs could kill that lurker. But a lot of damage done there. Irradiate on the way, Science Pistol on the way, so Jasmine getting into the standard Terran late game units, except this time with mech. Yeah, so Crunk really needs to get Defilers, and that's like the big reason why mech isn't super standard for Terran in TVZ is because Defilers exist. Because when you're a big, giant, non-movable army, like siege tanks are, you can't micro out of Dark Swarms. And here's the big push out from CPTCrunk, trying to get up the ramp here. These spider mines are in an unfortunate position. They are just waiting, and oh my god, yeah. CPTCrunk just hemorrhaged so many units so inefficiently. That was awful. That was just straight up a terrible engagement. They didn't have to take that engagement. And now they've lost, like, I don't know, that felt like a control group of Ultras are dead now. All their Hydras are dead. Everything is dead. In the chat, some people are pointing out that it feels like they don't have it looks like they don't have speed on anything. And I think, well, you know what? CPTCrunk did research speed. They learned how to run, and they ran away from this game because yeah, that was a terrible engagement from them. You hate to see it. It's really hard to gauge, but again, it's like you gotta get Dark Swarm. You gotta get the Dark Swarm, especially when your opponent is going mech. I think CPTCrunk had a lot of good opportunities there. They did a really good job of keeping the pressure on, but then they just said, okay, I'm ending the game now, and then they didn't end the game. So that is unfortunate, but Jasmine will take this game 1-0 and go up a win in their CPL group. Let's go back to our splash screen. And I swear, I did not set this up like this. All right, let us go to Jasmine versus Dada, another PVZ. Once again on Eclipse, let's get our game going here. And let's hop right into it. Let's move our stream over. Okay. In the top right corner this time, we have Dada 78641 as the hero Zerg units. And in the bottom left corner, we have Jasmine. Once again, the Magenta Terran squad. Looking to root out that infestation that has come and taken over this top right base. This is the prequel story to our last game. Jasmine needs to, you know, set this up here. Yeah. Not a whole lot happens in the early game, usually, so I'm going to go refill my coffee really quick because I am a professional. Coffee refilled game has started. We have an extractor. Yep, hatchery extractor from Dada. And a supply depot and barracks. I did die, in fact, but luckily I lived. Dada gets the drone up into the base here. Yep, standard stuff. Sees the two SCVs mining gas. Waiting to see for the factory placement. Indeed. First factory goes down. SCVs removed from gas. Dada should be able to see this, be like, okay, what's going on here? Should just be a regular fac expand from Jasmine. Fortunately, I am not infested now, so I am infested with my great love for the brown liquid for the coffee. That good, hot, brown stuff. Jasmine gets their expansion up. So like a stim addict, yes. The brown brew. Cold coffee is all right. I'm not a huge fan. See, you know what? Here's I'm gonna say. Cold coffee is good if you're getting like the really like the really creamy like stuff. Like if you're getting like a Starbucks thing or something and it's just like all like sugar and cream and like all this other flavor and stuff, that makes like cold coffee, like that's okay. You're basically just kind of drinking chocolate milk, but it's okay. But like for hot coffee and stuff, I feel like, you know, you just have to go straight black for that quality. Starbucks Java chip frappe. I don't know what that sounds good. Is it like a chocolate chip thing? Oh god, dude, I would kill it. Like, is there a mint chocolate chip coffee? Because that would be fucking delicious. I've actually been trying to cut back on drinking my coffee because I've been getting really bad headaches in the afternoon. So, it's unfortunate. So this isn't the 2-fac that we saw from the first game. This was just a regular 1-fac expand, but it is going to be morphing into that mech play that we saw earlier. And you can still go mech in ZVZ, and as we saw from last game, it worked. It's just that, again, like late game, Dark Swarm like is insane. Like it basically like takes mech out to the. Oh my god. I drank some fucking coffee and now I have the hiccups. But like Dark Swarm over some tanks, you know, Dark Swarm over Marines and stuff, the Marines move out. Dark Swarm over tanks, the tanks all die. So, yeah, mech is like, it's good, you can play it, but it has a very serious drawback, and that is the reason that, like, you know, there's a very specific thing you point to and you go, this is why bio is standard in TVZ, because of Dark Swarm, and kind of because of Plague. Because getting SCVs to repair plagued mech units sounds insanely harder than getting medics to repair Marines. Ooh, okay, first Overlord from Dada is going to die, but again, Zerg just kind of, you know, they have that. Two Zerglings coming up, kill the SCV here, but Jasmine knows that Dada is getting their third base up. Or was getting their third base up. Dada, the efficiency-minded, the turbo, like, you know, I'm going to get peak value out of all my units, was like, no, this drone can't be a hatchery. He's carrying minerals. Send him back. What is this drone doing? What is going on? Why are all these drones stopped? Dada is a... Okay, is there a reason that we have 4 drones here? 2 of them are mining minerals, so it's like he had to actually click on them and stop them. It's like that drone was like, listen, drone, turn into a hatchery. He said, no, I will not turn into a hatchery. I will be my own Zerg. And he ran back to all of his workers, his worker brothers. He says, listen to me, fellow drones. We can be more than buildings. One of them was like, hell yeah. And then, I don't know, they all decided that was kind of cringe and lame, and they went back to mining minerals. Alright, and there's the big push out from Jasmine, and Dada still does not have their third base up, and Dada's actually also pushing out, kind of, like, I guess they might be expecting a third going up from Jasmine, but I mean, that is a lot of Hydras, and that is not a lot of Goliaths here. Now, big damage coming down from both. Goliaths do have a kind of ridiculous DPS. Like Goliath, for how little you see Goliath usually in like certain types of games, it is kind of insane how much DPS the Goliaths actually have. Like Goliath's main role is to kill carriers and arbiters in TVP, but then you see them fighting on ground units. It's just like, why? How? What the hell? It's kind of insane how much damage these guys actually do. So yeah, Jasmine getting their third base set up, and just more posturing outside of Dada's main. Dada still doesn't have their third up. And so it's really weird that they didn't have that drone build. But now, yeah, they're going to move out and see a lot of the army. They're trying to circumvent the Goliaths, but the Goliaths were positioned really well to like pick off some of the hiders. Unfortunately, what is that micro? The Goliaths kind of like, Jasmine wasn't sure if they wanted to take the fight or run, and they tried to do both at the same time, and they lost a bunch of Goliaths. Now they're running, and they're taking a lot of damage on these guys. I feel like they could have at least shaved off a lot of this army if they had just stood and fight, but instead a lot of the Goliaths are kind of shaved off, and they lose most of them anyways. Yeah, Jasmine getting into all the tech. Titan. Alright, raise your hand in the chat. Did you know that plus 50 science vessel energy was called Titan reactor? By show of hands, who knew that that was what that was called? Ask me anyone. Okay, what is the Titan was the BC upgrade. What is... Okay, here's an easy one to blind. Here's an easy one to blime. Zergling attack speed. That's correct. High Templar energy. No, what are you talking about? Kaidaran. Okay, there we go. I'm saying energy upgrades. No one cares about the energy upgrades. What is the Dark Arc on energy? That one I actually legitimately don't know. Is this like chat? Yes, it is. What is the Dark Archon energy upgrade? I'm actually curious about that one. Argus Jewel? That's true. I knew that, I just couldn't remember it. Vulture Speed. Ion Thrust. Damn it! I thought that one was gonna get him. Argus Tech. Can you refer to my red HP goal as a Dragoon? Finally will feel like what it is to play Toss. Thanks. Alright. Where's our Dragoons at? Where's our Dragoons at? We have a red HP. This is our Dragoon. This was all in the alternate timeline. When Phoenix was killed in the Protoss campaign, he was picked up by Raynor, like, super early, and they just tossed his half-dead body into a Goliath instead of a Dragoon. So this is our Phoenix, the Dragoon Goliath. There's a ghost energy upgrade, isn't there? Sublime, what's the ghost energy upgrade? Mobius reactor. Damn. He does know all of them. Let's talk about the actual game that's going on. Dada's gotten up to 3 bases, which is good, but I mean, Jasmine has been up on 3 bases, and again, you never want to be below bases as a Zerg, especially when it's Terran mech, and like they're going to benefit a lot more from having those extra bases and extra mineral income. Alright, and with the science vessels coming out, they're going to be able to throw down those irradiates. And going Hydra Man versus mech is definitely something you can do, but I think Dada really needs to get that. They have their hive, they really need to get into that Defiler or that Ultralisk tech, and it looks like, yeah, I mean, because the reason you need that Defiler tech is the, that Dark Swarm, basically. Get those Zerglings on top of the mech army, and you're good to go. Dada's getting the Adrenal Glands upgrades. Dada's just looking for the weakest point on the Terran, trying to make something happen. And I think like they just, yeah, I'm not sure. I just doesn't feel like this is like supposed to be going on here. I don't know. Like it feels like Zerg should be expanding a lot more. But instead Zerg is trying to just kind of contain the Terran. And that's obviously not working. Jasmine's getting their 4th base up, and they have a really hardy mech force here to defend it. So, yeah, I think Jasmine is just going to be able to out-macro this entire thing. Our loyal Dragoon is still holding off on the 3rd base. Jesus, that is a lot of Zerglings. Yeah, okay, Defiler Mount on the way. EMP Shockwave getting researched. And then the Science Vessel comes up and the Lurkers are deleted from the game. Jasmine has a good mix of Dragoons in here with all their tanks, holding up the various ramps and whatnot, defending their 4th. Good Spider Mine placement. What is going on here? This Goliath is a bully. He's like, hey, go mine some minerals. You won't. Go. Well, yeah. Why aren't you building a supply depot to hold this ramp? Fucking nerd. That is a mean Goliath right there. That SCV is just trying to get his job done. Alright, Dada, again, just scouting around, isn't seeing a lot. Finally, Dada does find this bottom base here for Jasmine. Unfortunately, again, like that, well, that was an unfortunate spider mine for them. But again, I really like Dada, like, sending these Zerglings across the map. It's just, I don't know. Okay, well, in this second wave, like, it just isn't getting anything done, it feels like. See, and now they have these units set up on the ramp. They're reinforcing it. Once they get 2 tanks up in here, there's no way these, how's Dragoon doing? Let's check in on Dragoon. He's holding up. He's still in our third base. Oh wait, no, which one is Dragoon? They're both Dragoons today. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like Dada is throwing stuff. It feels like Dada doesn't know what to do in this game, is what it feels like. They kind of like, they got a Mutalisk, and you could maybe go like Guardians. That would be cool versus mech. But they're just spamming so many Zerglings, which is just so larva inefficient at this stage of the game. They're only at 1/16 supply. Jasmine is getting closer and closer to maxing out. And again, Jasmine's just strip mining the map, right? They're going to get this base, and then they'll be able to move over and take this base. And Dada's just donating these Zerglings. And again, it's not about the minerals with the Zerglings, because all Zerglings are basically free, but it's about the larva. So every 2 Zerglings that die is a larva that could have been an Ultralisk or a Defiler or a Hydralisk. That would have been like way more useful and gotten more work done for the Zerg here. Wow, which Overlord? Where are we dropping, boys? We got 1 Zergling and an Overlord. Consume, about to finish up. So these Defilers are about to be online, and again, so this is again the sort of the problem with mech is that Jasmine can't put the pressure on, right? Now I've been talking all about how Dada is doing all this stuff and it's not really winning the game. Well, Jasmine isn't winning the game either, and they're letting the Zerg build up. Like, they still haven't left this kind of arc of the map. And if once Dada gets into Dark Swarms and Ultralisks and Zerglings, they can take the fight to the Terran, throw the Dark Swarms down, and call it a day, right? So Dada could have taken this. So, like, Dada isn't in a great position, but their position is better than, like, what it theoretically should be if Jasmine was being more aggressive and getting out on the map and constantly pushing forward. But you know what? We're not gonna harp too much on it because we have a Defiler in position, and this 4th base is looking juicy. 2 lurkers at the regular 4th of Jasmine, so there is gonna require a bit of work to go and clear that and take that base. And Jasmine floating a lot of minerals, getting really close to maxing out, upgrading ship weapons. Where's the battle cruiser switch? Where are we throwing these starports down? Big attack in. That is a lot of Dark Swarms. That's at least 2 Dark Swarms. So I don't know where the Defiler is. But he's going to come up and get under the Dark Swarm. And, oh god, that is just such an unfortunate position here. Yeah, that wasn't a good fight. It looks like the Dark Swarms got doubled up on the ramp, whereas all the Zerglings, they come right here, and come right here, just outside of the Dark Swarm. And they all died. We needed the Dark Swarm here, and a Dark Swarm, like, right here. And now, I don't know where the Defilers are at. They're all the way back here. They're back at full energy, but like I said, they need to actually get up in here. A bit of an unfortunate attack time, and the Defiler's going to try to throw one down. Throws it down, gets on the ramp, but again, is like doing a ramp. EMP Shockwave on the Defiler is very funny, but it needed to be like the other thing. Alright, Hydra's getting up. Now, this is actually good. They do angle up here, so I think this base will fall. The Hydras do finally will be able to break through here, and buildings are not safe under Dark Swarm. It looks like I think they were trying to attack the SCV there. But buildings are not safe under Dark Swarm, and a Radiate does go down on the Defiler. This is where you kind of want to see like a Plague or something. Just because the Dark Swarm, like with Hydras, Dark Swarm isn't great because the Hydras also kind of get messed up by it. Another EMP. So Jasmine, I think, is just like, no, I'm going to treat these like Arbiters. When you just irradiate the Defiler. Not sure why they are... Oh, and Dada moving in on the attack here as well. Again, I don't think this is going to be very effective. Lots of tanks going out, killing all that. Dada does put some pressure, but ultimately will not push the Terran back. And also, this attack here at the 4th is going to get repelled with very minimal Terran deaths. Zerglings coming in. Now, these Zerglings will take out a very big chunk of siege tanks, but I don't know where Jasmine's production is at, and this does not look like good Sim City. This looks like they build one round of tanks, like, and the tanks all pop up behind here, and they just like end up getting stuck here or something. Dada, these Zerglings are dangerously close to one Spider Mine away from just being completely killed. Alright, I really need to see where these units pop out of on this wall, so I'm just gonna stay here for a while. Oh, we have a Goliath pop out at the top here. Siege tank kind of gets caught up. So okay, this is pathable for siege tanks. Not unless he tries to find an alternate way out. Okay, so that's okay, SimCity. That is a-okay. Dada, meanwhile, still. Oh no, you hate to see it. Unfortunately, unable to construct the hatchery. Yeah, I mean, it just really does feel like the Terran has this in the bag. Like, they're one base above the Zerg. The Zerg is mining out now. Like, they're only mining off of one base. They have a bank, but I don't think the bank's really, like, again, they're spending all their larvae on Zerglings, so they can't actually build any important units. There's a spider mine over here. It just really does feel like Jasmine, like Dada kind of like fell apart in the late game here, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of factors that go into playing a game of StarCraft, and sometimes you just have an off day, and that is the day that Dada is having with this game right now. Ooh, big Zergling drop down here. That is actually huge. Zerglings getting on top of a lot of SCVs, really tearing them apart, but again, these siege tanks. No, all the SCVs are basically dead. That is a huge drop from Dada. Now he just needs to do that like 10 more times. Where's, like, we have SCVs not mining here that'll transfer. We have a healthy base saturation over here. Again, like, oh. Okay, well that is one way to defuse spider mines. Yeah, Jasmine just getting back up to seeing that they're reorganizing their SimCity here so that there's a better line for the mech units. Yeah. Again, it's like okay, yeah, Jasmine has this game in the bag, but like they aren't doing anything with it. They're just defending and expanding. And so if Dada takes this base and takes this base or whatever, and Jasmine never actually moves out to punish that, like, we're at an even game again. Wow, that's a lot of Zerglings coming up. That should be able to prevent this base from being taken in the short term. Never mind. Terran mech is just busted. Okay. And then with the reinforcements coming, the command center and the SimCity wall can come up. And that is why you need Dark Swarm. Okay. Okay, in this one we have Defilers, Zerglings. Defilers are in the Overlords now. So we're going to have a bit of another drop go off here. Probably Dark Swarm called down. Wow. And both players have a massive bank. It definitely, we're coming close to the 30-minute mark. Dark Swarm, Dark Swarm. No! Okay. We're coming close to the 30-minute mark, and this really is about the time where players just kind of start throwing shit at the wall, especially if you're in position like Dada, where it's just like you kind of, like, you have to know how far behind you are at this point, right? So, yeah. It feels like even though Dada's bases haven't been broken, their spirit has. Maybe they can they can expand here and then expand to this base and try and sneak out a lot of resources that way. But every moment they try and just send all these Zerglings over. And it's not about the money. It's not about the money, Spider-Man. It's about the larva. And you really need to be using that larva on things that will help you win the game. I don't know. I mean, it definitely, again, the kind of, and it's the frustrating thing about this, right, is that, like, I can't be like, oh yeah, Dada's dead or whatever, because Dada, they can expand, like they can still expand and get resources and eventually maybe scam a win out because they're Zerg and they have Dark Swarm. Really. And like Dark Swarm, they can kill a base, Dark Swarm can kill a base, Dark Swarm can take out this entire position here. Just Dark Swarm and Zerglings. But again, Jasmine is getting, oh my god, are they at 3-3 Mac? Are they literally just, they're just spending their money on ship upgrades because they have nothing else to research. Get Stim, get Marine Range, get Restoration, fuck it, who cares? Oh my god. Okay, now Jasmine is finally moving out. They're maxed, they have the maxed army, and they're gonna put pressure on the Zerg. This has to be the push that wins the game, right? Like, Dada doesn't have anything to defend. So much of their army is over here trying to deal with this, and I think, wow, it looks like the Defiler that was with these Zerglings got picked off. Because you really need to go Dark Swarm, and then Dark Swarm up the ramp here, busted, and then Dark Swarm. And yeah, nope. Jasmine moving in, A moves over. Yeah, like they have to stop this before Dada can get up to the rest of their bases. And I think they are going to be able to do that. Ooh, big mine hit, kills a lot of vultures there. Yeah, so this is the game. This is it. They A move up, they kill this base, and then Dada just runs out of resources and dies. Okay. But again, I don't see any Defilers. I would say Dark Swarm could go down. So this is like huge. Like, oh, man. So if you're watching this and you're playing CPL and you're like, hey, this is what my games look like. I don't know, talk to your coaches when you get into the regular season and be like, hey, I really need to practice learning how to, like, getting like Defilers and using Dark Swarm and the micro of moving armies around, because like honestly, Dada actually could have beat this if they had one like one Defiler, right? One Defiler, Blaze Dark Swarm everywhere, Zergling Swarm over all these units. But because Dada doesn't have, like, all their Defilers were somewhere else, it was not, you know, doing that. And so, you know, they're gonna die, I guess. They're gonna die, yeah. Like, Jasmine has this set up here. They can set up the siege, kill this expansion. They have to know. Yeah, they absolutely know that the Zerg base is up here, right? Yep, and yeah, Vulture and a Goliath moving over. They're gonna see it. That base is gonna die. So Dada can't even sneak one out. That's just kind of funny. Oh, this is the move, right? These Zerglings are going to be able to kill these two tanks for free. They're going to be able to move around and get some damage done on these other tanks. And Dada, like, can stay into this game, right? 3 Scourge, 15, 30 Zerglings. The Zerglings are going to get on top of the siege tanks here, on top of that siege tank. Drones are getting pulled to reestablish this base up here. And, I mean, Jasmine has army macroed behind this. They just aren't, they didn't reinforce. But they are getting their 5th base up, again, staying 1 base above the Zerg. All these science vessels kind of out of position. Like, they have science vessels that could be up here, like, getting rid of, like, honestly, just eraser drones at this point, right? It's somehow 30 drones to 30 SCVs. Don't ask me how that happened. And Dada, once again, splintering these drones off to come and harass these bases, and it's not going to work, right? Yeah, there's too much defense here. The Goliaths will tear through them. Is that Queen? Is that... No, that's Defiler Energy. Never mind, that's not Queen Energy. What is the name of Defiler Energy? Defiler Energy is called... I don't know that one. Defiler Energy is the Metasynaptic Node. Hell yeah. Set him up with that Metasynaptic Node. Okay, so here is why Terran, you need to be aggressive. Zerg is going up back. They're rebuilding their bases. That's basically free for them. The hatcheries are only 300 minerals. They're getting double gas here in the top right left corner. And like vultures are moving out, and they're not even moving out to go kill Zerg. They're moving out to lay spider mines down and make it harder for the Zerg to attack. Gamete meiosis. Ooh, they're not getting the filers, unfortunately. Yeah. Defiler is setting up. Yeah, these science vessels need to be over here, radiating defilers, and Dada's taking the space here as well. Like, again, it's frustrating because it's like, okay, there's no way Dada actually wins this game, right? But at the same time, they've retaken this base. They have this base in the corner that is completely unthreatened. They're taking this base too, and they'll be able to get that gas. It's like, it's not impossible. It's just, God, if any of these Zerglings were Ultralisks, you have so much gas, and he just keeps spamming Zerglings, and it's so frustrating. Ugh. Ugh. This is why I play Protoss. I couldn't. I don't know. If I watched this game back, I would. Yeah. So this has to be it. There's enough vultures that like the trickle in of Zerglings won't be enough to actually overwhelm the Terran attack force, and they're just gonna do a rotation and kill all these bases. The third is mined out, which is really the last defendable base for Zerg, and that should wrap the game up. This was at least 3 Ultralisks right here, right? Mutalisks. Why not? Can you check the unit stats after this game is over? Well, our Dragoons here at the third, they're vibing. They're having a great time. And yeah, we'll check the unit stats just to see, like, what unit stats do we need to see? Like, kills and stuff? Because we got kills. There's the Mutaswarm coming out. See, it's like, if you had done the air switch earlier, this might actually be threatening, but it's just like, oh, you have mutas now. Queues up 15 Goliaths. Well, there's 12 Zerglings dead there. Wow, 10 kills on that Goliath, 9 on this siege tank. Hey, Radiate's a good spell. Yeah. Unfortunate micro there. And Dada still has this base.
There's a lot of Terran, okay? Yeah. Oh, shit. You didn't see that. Jasmine moving over to start trying to put pressure on the main here. Dada's resources are trickling in. I mean, really, it is just one massive. Honestly, killing these vultures actually helped Jasmine because they'll be able to remax with Goliaths. God, he still doesn't know about this base. It looks like this is going to be the push that does it, and a Radiate might go down on these Mutalisks. Please don't. Dark Swarm, that's bad for you, because you have... Why would you EMP the Mutas? Dark Swarm is bad for you. The Mutas can't hit anything. And don't worry, we got 20 Zerglings in production. I feel like I need to apologize. I'm gonna have to like apologize to Dada after this game because I feel like I'm being overly mean to them. But yeah. Tech of Dada is dying, and I think that is going to be, we're going to see the GG very soon as the Terran busts up into the main. Dada with only a trickle of minerals. Unfortunately, the mass, God, imagine if he got a Valkyrie. How easy it would be to delete all these overlords. That'd be so sick. And there's the GG. Dada loses the game. Jasmine takes this TVZ. This 41-minute TVZ. Let us return to our splash screen to take a stock of this group. So, unfortunately, CPTCrunk did not get any games in this group, but they did their best and they gave us some good games, so thank you for that. Champion with the straight up 3-0, the undisputed winner of Group 8. Jasmine with the 2-0 over the remaining Zerg opponents, and then Dada with the 1-0 in the ZVZ. So, congratulations to all our players. And that means we are going to be moving on to our Group 28 games, featuring fellow co-caster ColdWarpGates and a couple of other really good players. So let's go ahead and start hopping right into them. ColdWarpGates versus HatcheryCake. No break is going to be a PVZ on Eclipse. Let's start them up. Probably help if I open the game back up. In the top right corner, we have ColdWarpGates, representing the red Protoss tribe on the top right of Eclipse. And in the bottom left, we have HatcheryCake, representing the purple Zerg Brood on the bottom left of Eclipse. Both of these players are very good. I believe they are both tier 2. HatcheryCake improved really fast at the game. They're pretty good players. So I think they're both in tier 2. They might even be tier 1 at this point. I'm not sure. Have not updated this, but I'm looking forward to this game. ColdWarpGates throwing down their pylon here. And we're going to see where they stand. Oh! ColdWarpGates. My man. The non-pylon scout. Take that, the blind /Sate 0. ColdWarpGates in the chat says they think this is both tier 1. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. Both these players are really good. And ColdWarpGates doing the game. Oh, and he even does gateway fast expand. My heart. Love gateway fast expand. Feels so good. Love to see it. Yeah, so really excited for this game. And the scout on gateway, as you do. So you know what? The pylon scout debate drama is heating up. ColdWarpGates zooming in, taking stock of what the Zerg is doing, sees the spawning pool, sees the barely doesn't prevent the hatchery from coming down, but sees that they build the hatchery. 2 eggs in production. They're going to want to see if these are drones or Zerglings. It is Zerglings, but they have to be very careful. So with gateway expand, your first couple zealots, if they're going for the aggressive like Zergling play, drone play, you want that first zealot to kind of block off on the ramp. Nope, you want the first zealot to kind of block off on the ramp because you need to prevent these Zerglings from actually getting up into your base. The Nexus drops at 21. And I think actually, because this drone is distracting so many Zerglings and the ColdWarpGates actually only sees the 4, only 1 is running across to attack him, he's able to just kind of not have to worry about his ramp, places the Nexus down, he's going to be able to have these Zealots and Probe block off his main. Once he gets his Forge down, he'll be fully sealed off, and these 2 Zealots are going to start marching across the map because the early aggression is confirmed to not be going on. We're going to see, of course, constant Zealot production here, Forge going down, and these Zealots are going to try to get some stuff done across the map, and if HatcheryCake isn't careful, these Zealots are going to do some terrible, terrible damage. Yep, once they posture forward, they force HatcheryCake to kind of retreat, and they're going to also pull back, though. So I don't think ColdWarpGates isn't going to commit to the aggression. I think because their scouting probe dies, they're kind of in the dark now, so they have to kind of just play it safe and bring the Zealots back, right? Because if HatcheryCake committed to like a really hard link flood, having those Zealots out on the map, getting caught would be the worst possible situation. Lets the probe out to go scouting again. The probe is going to go take the long way around to avoid getting caught by these Zerglings. No cannon up yet because, again, ColdWarpGates doesn't need it to defend from just Zerglings. You can see Zealot's going to move out. Cybercore and Gas on the way. On HatcheryCake's side of the map, Zergling speed is about finishing up. Although they've halted all gas production, so they are just going heavy onto drones and Zerglings right now. Wow, that is a lot of Zerglings. They actually might bust down this gateway if they aren't careful. It looks like ColdWarpGates' first Zealot that moved out got killed, and this one's going to get picked off as well. The Zerglings actually are going to get the gateway if HatcheryCake commits to it, and it looks like they is. ColdWarpGates, oh no, and now that's busted open. Okay, yeah, HatcheryCake is going to get up into the main. Now, with all the Zealot production, this probably won't be game ending. That's a lot of wounded Zerglings, but it is definitely going to be annoying. Yeah, I see, like, the probes kind of could fight these Zerglings. You can see they are. Great micro here from ColdWarpGates. Really, you know, preventing many probes from dying. I don't think he's gotten any yet. But this probe, suicidal to a fault, but brave, is going to try and come and fight these Zerglings. A cannon is going to go up in the main to try and hold off and just really secure the mineral line from this Zergling army. Zealot's going to come up, cleans them up, and the Zergling's going to dive in again, try and get something done, but again, I think the Zerglings at such low health, they're going to really just be annoying, and it's really more of an APM tax on our Protoss hero as both Zerglings get cleaned up. We have a probe in the main scouting, sees no lair, sees just Zerglings, sees no Hydra Den. So I think ColdWarpGates is feeling really good about this. Goes straight into Stargate to get Corsairs. Hydrogen starts as that probe dies. And that Corsair is going to be able to get the full scout and also pick off, like, harass on the overlords, as there's no Spire on the way yet, no Lair on the way yet, so Scourge will not be a problem. I think HatcheryCake is really going to try and hammer hard and just take this game before, like, this lack in tech upgrade will kick in. First Corsair comes out, immediately starts going across the map. You can see HatcheryCake is already retreating his overlords to a more defensive position. Evolution Chamber finishes, so we're probably going to see some Spore colonies go down. Lair has started, and see that it stops at just the one Corsair. Corsair's going to start picking on some overlords, getting damage sort of done all over the place. So it should just be one, maybe two overlords picked off, maybe three. If this single Corsair can get 3 overlords, that is more than worth it. Okay, it's so close to dying, and he doesn't commit. Oh god, it's so close. You can see even he's like, okay, no, I'm getting that. And then the Corsair leaves. 2 overlords is pretty big for Zerg at this stage in the game. The Corsair also sees that the Lair is just now finishing, so there really isn't a threat of mutisms. That is why they are going hard into that Templar tech. No extra Corsairs, adding on a few more cannons, and yeah. We see this wall again, so I would just probably guess that this is the correct wall for this map on that position. So mimic that. If you're a Protoss player, do this. Also, if you're a Zerg player, do this. This kind of SimCity is huge. It actually does an insane amount to protect you against like Zealot run-bys and those really big Protoss attacks. Storm on the way, High Templar on the way, as HatcheryCake is moving out and ready to try and you know, get some damage done. But with the Zealots coming out, speed and +1 are both about to be done. That'll really let them sort of contend with the Hydras and force them back and allow the High Templar time to gather their energy to cast Psystorm. Robo going down, really close, really good timing at 8:30. You love to see it. That really kind of will help prevent like big lurker contains and give ColdWarpGates the tools they need. Are they gonna get one final overlord with that Corsair? They will. And you know what? 3 overlords for a Corsair is not even that bad. Oh my god, is the Corsair gonna get away with it? Alright, yep. Yeah, okay. So, meanwhile, at the main, holy shit, HatcheryCake is going to try to pull the trigger. They see the High Templar, and they know that if they don't kill their opponent now, this Hydra Bust is not going to happen. But unfortunately, I think regardless of what happens, this Hydra Bust is not going to happen. Storm finishes, and the High Templar are ready. Storm goes down, kills all the Hydras. They kind of all derp out and stop attacking. And now the Forge lives, and +2 is going to keep going. Now with Storm and Zealots out on the way, they're going to be able to push the Zerg back and take the fight over to the Zerg side of the map. And with the Observatory on the way, that Lurker aspect will also be deflected. We see the Observatory, Dragoons coming out, Dragoon range armor from our secondary Forge. So yeah, ColdWarpGates playing a really solid game. Meanwhile, HatcheryCake is kind of like, they're kind of struggling, right? Like it really seems like they delayed their tech, they delayed their lair to try and bank on getting a lot of damage done with that Hydra push, and it just did not work out. They got a gateway, maybe a couple of Zealots, and a cannon, but they didn't pick off any of the High Templar, and they lost a couple of you know, a good small group of Hydralisks to it. But behind this, HatcheryCake has gone up to 4 bases, which is really good for the Zerg. Protoss usually, like, to be even, Protoss wants to stay 1 base behind the Zerg, so if the Zerg actually gets 2 bases above, they're in a good spot. So even though, like, in terms of, like, tech, in terms of, like, where their armies are at right now, ColdWarpGates is developing a more robust, like, army. HatcheryCake is really getting that economic lead, and will be able to transition to the late game a bit more, a bit smoothly, in a smoother fashion. All right, a shuttle coming out with the DT, but the Overlord spots it, and that's the shuttle kind of very sadly goes home. It won't be able to drop in here. You can see the Overlord actually moves into position to be able to see where that shuttle is gonna like drop. Yeah, so good move there. I would like to see maybe some DTs mixed into the main army just to force HatcheryCake to have to keep Overlords with his hiders and stuff. I personally like doing that. I know it's probably not technically optimal because DTs kind of suck in straight up fights, but you know, if the Overlord dies, something happened. I think the Zealots accidentally A-moved on a Dragoon. But yeah, see, there's no Overlord with the army here, so a DT kind of getting in the back line here, taking swipes at these hiders would do a lot of damage. Huge storms that HatcheryCake just isn't microing out of. And unfortunately, I mean, really the big problem here is that HatcheryCake has a great angle on this entire army. And so, like, ColdWarpGates took good fights, but they're here, and HatcheryCake is on either side of them. There just is no way, really, for the Protoss to fight that. You see, like, sometimes when pros try to take that engage, they kind of set up here, and they really slowly move forward. They poke out, they storm, and they move back to a better position. ColdWarpGates just overextended a little bit. They took a really nice fight, and they shaved off a lot of the Hydralisks, but ultimately they have to get pushed back, and that's you know, obviously not a good thing for them. Now, a lot of Zerglings are going to be filtering in. Now, these are not Adrenalings, as HatcheryCake isn't on Hive Tech yet, but they will still tear through Dragoons if ColdWarpGates isn't careful. And again, HatcheryCake just trying to sandwich them, buying time for the Lurkers to do something. Okay, but more Zerglings are going to keep flowing in, and now the Zealots are you know, drying up. These Dragoons have to be very careful. We need more storms on these Lurkers. And I think ColdWarpGates is just trying to commit to a fight that they shouldn't be. As these Hydralisks filter in, well, no, hold on. We do have another storm. Goes down, picks off a couple of Hydras. So ColdWarpGates, we now have seesawed this match. It was ColdWarpGates overextended, but now it's HatcheryCake overextending. ColdWarpGates gets their third base up safely. That poor Lurker. He tried so hard to do something. HatcheryCake keeping on the aggression. Zergs filtering in from all possible angles. Ooh, they're going to get a really nice backstep on these Dragoons. And as the Dragoons clear up, and as the High Templar run out of energy, that is not the storm. You want that storm down here. And we just have Zealots and High Templar, and this does not look good for our Terran player. Yeah, Hydras will tear through Archons, and if he just runs up this ramp, he'll be able to pick off these cannons, but unfortunately, it looks like the Hydras kind of are getting caught up on the Zealots and getting caught up on their own, like buddies standing on the ramp. A lot of them take a lot of free damage from the cannons, and it looks like ColdWarpGates will be able to reinforce and push the Zerg back. Our Terran player. Sometimes words just come out. Sometimes words just come out of my mouth and it just doesn't work. Yeah, HatcheryCake with the continued aggression stays on top of it. Again, it's kind of diminishing returns at this point. ColdWarpGates has stabilized, and all these like little armies that HatcheryCake are sending are just kind of getting picked apart at this point. So yeah. Looks like +3 attack is just about to finish for Protoss. right as +1 carapace is finishing for Zerg. So those Zealots are going to stay on top of those Zerglings for a while here. And DT in position to kind of scout for when the Zerg tries to take this 5th base. I think HatcheryCake probably was more akin to probably expanding down there. Yeah. This has been a pretty back and forth game. I think ColdWarpGates is going to start getting into position to take this 4th base. Now, really, the unfortunate thing is that they've let HatcheryCake get up to 4 bases. Now, a 4-base Zerg can last in a game for a long time and be threatening that entire time. Really, if really nice T here, getting in while there's no units here to defend and getting all the drones at this base. And then he just gets out like a little ninja. All right. Yeah, so, I mean, Zerg on 4 bases can stay in the game and stay competitive for a very long time. In a way that Zerg on 3... Wow, actually. HatcheryCake, only 31 drones is really, like, their macro is in a really tight spot here. I was gonna say, like, oh, HatcheryCake doesn't have the bank of ColdWarpGates. They're spending their money really well, but it really isn't about spending money. It's just they don't have the income for it. So that's unfortunate. They only have 2 drones on this extractor here. Ew. So HatcheryCake really is only like a one bad fight away from this game going completely haywire for them. And that bad fight might be taken now. ColdWarpGates getting in position to start putting pressure on this 4th base. I mean, if this 4th base falls, that's a lot of drones there. Oh my god, see, HatcheryCake, he heard me talk about how the drones, and then he immediately built back up to 45. So it's still not great. It still favors ColdWarpGates, but it is not as bad as it was as they start getting their saturation on the rest of their bases as well. Oh, and here's the drop. Oh, no! Zoom in! Oh! 4 drones and 3 Hydralisks. That is worth it for a shuttle and a High Templar. DT also roaming the map. God, ColdWarpGates is just doing a great job of like getting their DTs everywhere. But HatcheryCake getting this expansion in the bottom right again. Like Zerg on 4 bases is really strong, can stay competitive. Zerg on 5 bases is insane. ColdWarpGates needs to start limiting the expansion of HatcheryCake while HatcheryCake is like at a weak position where they aren't able to like tech up so much. Observer runs in, dies immediately. There's only 1 High Templar with this army. You probably want to see 3 or 4. And we're mostly reinforcing with Zealots. Now we're getting into Reaver Tech, which is what, you know, Protoss wants. Okay, big fight going down here. Zealots kind of coming up, getting shredded by the Lurkers. And again, the Dragoons are trying to fight up. A storm right here. Yes, that is very good. Flames. Oh, and another storm comes down, clears a lot of Hydras out. Now, this is huge. There's only some Zerglings reinforcing. There's still a very healthy Zealot count, and there's still a very healthy Dragoon count. This base is going to fall. But with this reinforcement, I don't think there's any more storms left for the Protoss player. So they have to play very carefully. They don't want to just dive in on these Lurkers, but that is enough Dragoons to fight these Lurkers and win. More reinforcements coming in. It's mostly a lot of Zerglings now. The Zerglings will be able to fight these Dragoons. Dragoons are going to have to try and get on top of what they can and get the damage done. But ColdWarpGates is going to have to re-macro. I think this army is going to die as the Zerglings get on top, get the surround. And unfortunately, there just weren't the extra High Templar there to keep this push going. And ultimately, I think this does actually end up favoring HatcheryCake. They're rebuilding their army. They're re-establishing their defenses. Yes, they lost a hatchery. Yes, they lost an extractor. But they didn't lose that many drones. And they can just remax as Zerg. It's very easy to. Meanwhile, back at home, let's count. Let's see the gateway count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Gateways is okay, but not great. Again, filtering those Reavers in. Seeing that Reaver production is one of the things that makes late game Protoss scary for the Zerg. The DT they do know that this base is here, and I think ColdWarpGates really needs to figure out where the weak point of the Zerg is here. Are they trying to pressure and kill this 4th, or do they need to keep them off of this 5th? Ooh, another drop coming in. It's going to be another storm drop, but really good pull by the by HatcheryCake there. That High Templar might just want to throw a storm down on the ramp to catch these drones as they're retreating, but unfortunately it looks like, oh, storm down on the ramp, catches a drone and a Hydralisk. Oh, that was so close to being clutch, but unfortunately it was not. HatcheryCake also taking the space here. ColdWarpGates is now getting out expanded and out macroed. 100 Zerg supply feels like it's probably worth 120 Protoss supply, especially when there's more of an army percentage in the Zerg's army. Yeah, I mean, ColdWarpGates really, it feels like maybe a lack of information. Maybe they haven't been producing, they aren't being out on the map with their observers, so like this base is easily taken. This probe is going to see this, and that's going to be the big point for ColdWarpGates. Just run these Dragoons down, snipe this base out, maybe kill the lurkers when they hatch. But yeah, he needs to stop this base from coming. He needs to stop one of these bases, right? Yeah, now that these lurkers actually finish, these reinforcements up here can kind of rotate down and defend this base as well. You see, yeah, a lot of Hydras moving in position, a lot of Zealots moving over to try and reinforce the Protoss. What we got in the shuttle, we have 2 Reavers, which is, you know, what you want to see. But again, those observers are kind of out of position, and if they're not careful, unfortunately the Reavers kind of get taken out without doing much. Awkward engagement there, but I think the base will fall. There is enough Protoss here to just muscle through. Oh, not if they don't focus it down though. As the Zerglings and as the lurkers come up, that is going to be... No, okay, they should be able to take this still. But what about the 3rd wave of Zerg? It's okay. The hatchery does die. Again, like ColdWarpGates cannot allow HatcheryCake to take this base, right? Really, ColdWarpGates couldn't allow HatcheryCake to take this base either, but you know, that's we're seeing as it goes. I think ColdWarpGates is going to probably try and take this main as well, and we'll get into a split map situation. The Zealot bravely seeing what exactly HatcheryCake has. 3 Reavers coming up here soon. That's a lot of Reavus. Okay. I think this should be enough to secure this base for ColdWarpGates. And that really is kind of, and at the same time, HatcheryCake is taking the base down here. So this top base with double gas is pretty important. I actually am not sure about the minerals. I feel like, do these bases down here, they have less, you get more minerals from coming down to these bases, right? What's the gas at? 5,000, 5,000? Oh, wow, this base actually isn't as important as I thought it is. There's 6,000 gas, so this base is worth like 1.5 of these bases. So if HatcheryCake takes and holds both of these bases, they will actually hold the game. Oh, yes, okay, the scare does go off. But if HatcheryCake takes and holds these 2 bases, they will, in the long term, be able to mine and be more efficient and get more, just more stuff than ColdWarpGates. Bottom right is more important, for sure, for sure. Again, I mean, HatcheryCake is taking that, and there is no pressure being put on them. But we're getting close to being a maxed out Protoss army, and that's when ColdWarpGates really start trying to like, push out and take good engagements. The big Hydra force here is going to come up and keep doing damage. There's no High Templar with the army, and the Reavers are in the shuttles and not being dropped off. I think ColdWarpGates is saving them for the big, like, securing this position up here. Alright, their Reavers get dropped. Scarabs barely find... That is such a weird position. And I mean, like, he needs these Scarabs to start clearing the way for his Dragoons to get up on the high ground here. Storm goes down, catches both the Lurkers, so that is a huge pick off there. But Zergling's coming up to backstab all the probes at this mineral line here. And we need another storm. We need more Reavers. Like, we just need, like, the Protoss. Yeah, the Protoss is, like, oh, man, and then Scarab dudded on that dead Reaver. Or dead Hydralisk, rather. And, yeah, like, the fight is barely being taken by ColdWarpGates here. HatcheryCake reinforcing, but with the Reavers backing up the Dragoons, I think the durability of this Protoss army should be enough to break this base. And wow, those three Zerglings tore through that Nexus. But with this base dying, ColdWarpGates will be able to take it. Unfortunately, HatcheryCake kind of already has taken this base for all it's worth, with the exception of the gas. But that is 2 hatcheries. That is important. Ooh, Storm on the High Templar, really great play. And we see a second one here. Pick up and runs off. Oh man, and that is very risky to do with High Templar still there, and the shuttle is hiding in the very bottom corner, waiting for the drones to kind of settle wherever they may. Oh, that is so funny. And as the drones kind of come back here, we might see this shuttle in the very, very bottom corner reestablish itself, but a big Zergling force. Oh, Revu so good. Taken out. You can see some Scourge coming to pick the shuttle off, so that is going to be it for them. All right. So now HatcheryCake really is on the back foot. ColdWarpGates has a 100 supply lead, and I think that economic advantage that HatcheryCake had from having these extra bases just never materialized because they didn't have the drone count to take advantage of it. And now ColdWarpGates really might have the positioning to come down here, hold this bottom ramp, and then come up on this third and take it out as well. See a lot of Archons morphing. Late game PvZ, Archons are really useful for getting rid of the large amount of Zerglings that just happen to show up. Ooh! Scourge just barely don't get that shuttle. Luckily, I don't think there was anything in these. But again, Storm's coming down, doing great work clearing up these Hydralisks. Really great engagements here from ColdWarpGates. And ColdWarpGates also taking the expansion here. Really just going saying, you know what? Screw you. I am going to just out-efficiency you. I am going to take all these bases. Unfortunately, wow, that was a really great attack in from HatcheryCake. The Lurkers and the Zerglings got on top of the army and are able to clean apart the Protoss defense here. Again, we can look at the production. HatcheryCake, Zerglings, Hydralisks, whereas ColdWarpGates has much more robust. I mean, they're getting expansion, they're getting Zealot Dragoon, but they're also getting, their Reaver stuff, they're getting shuttles, and that is a huge Zergling wave, and that is the type of Zerglings that you really want those Archons for. The Reavers kind of help, but they are not going to, they also get picked apart so quickly by these Adrena Gland 3-2 Zerglings. These aren't even 3-3 yet. So again, this base is not going to fall. ColdWarpGates won't be able to hold it, but with the cannon set up, they will at least be able to hold this top left. And the game just keeps going. All right, both players kind of resetting where they think the game is at. HatcheryCake mining on these bases. No gas taken here, and I think they really might need to start looking to do that, as a lot of their other gases are very close to depletion. Oh. Oh, is there only... Oh, there's only one pro mining gas there. That's so unfortunate. Yeah, so these Overlords are gonna die, and that actually supply blocks HatcheryCake. Again, so many factors in this game, just feels like HatcheryCake shouldn't be holding on, but I guess that is the Zerg advantage. retaking this base, and with all these Zerglings and Hydralisks, they're going to try and push. Unfortunately, 4 cannons and a Reaver, I think, are going to make it very hard, as well as the reinforcements coming in. Well, actually, the reinforcements are going to be a little too late. This Nexus looks like it's going to fall. The Archon will eventually chew through all these Zerglings, and the Nexus does indeed fall, as the Reavers kind of help the Archon clean up the rest of this Terran army. And ColdWarpGates might try continue pushing up onto this high ramp to reestablish his dominance on this high ground section right here. He's floating a lot of resources, so he has the money to re-expand, retake this base, and to like really push up and comp. This has been a really back and forth game, a lot of action. Yeah, I think HatcheryCake, they just need to hold this ramp, retake this base, and again, drone up and get their higher tech, get their units up. Unfortunately, they're still stuck on 32 drones. I think they're badly miscalculating what their drone count is at. Because again, they have less of a bank from ColdWarpGates, but not from like a fact that they're spending their money better, but just from the fact that they've been behind 20 workers this whole game. Again, you can see ColdWarpGates, they're really, our HatcheryCake, it really is down to that gas. They do not have the gas income. And it looks like actually they barely have drones on gas mining. Like there's still so much gas left in the bases that they do have, but see, they still don't have the extractors at their new bases, and that gas limit is really hurting them hard. Like they're basically in a position where they can only, like, the reason Zerg gets so many bases is because they need the extra gas for their high-tech units to be able to stay into a game. And when you're just massing Hydralisks and Zerglings, Reaver, Archon, Dragoon Zealot, High Templar, like you get shredded. And see, he keeps poking up at the parent. Huge storm on the ramp, deals all that damage to the Zerg. I think HatcheryCake is in a position where they are thinking they're out of the game. Ooh, big Reaver drop at one of the expansions, clears out all the probes, maybe all the drones rather, and I think ColdWarpGates, the noose that they are constructing, the encirclement, the you know, all that is finally sort of playing into effect. The Reavers can just start picking these drones off as well, down to 17, tearing through all these drones. Yeah, I mean, this is just huge. Like, ColdWarpGates has completely now crippled the economy of HatcheryCake, and they're stuck on making Zerglings. +3 plasma shields on the way, making these Archons extremely durable. And that is like the last remnant of HatcheryCake's army, right? ColdWarpGates really just has to get a couple good rallies, and they can move across the map. 38 supply from HatcheryCake, and only 11 drones. Okay, the Reavers are finally getting picked off. Ooh, and a bad rally gets a couple of extra drones picked off. Is this shuttle carrying anything? He's carrying some support Reavers with Archons on the way. Yeah, so it really is just ColdWarpGates really can just decide when he wants to win the game, but it is that point. If he doesn't push the issue, if he lets HatcheryCake, if he takes the pressure off of HatcheryCake, HatcheryCake in 1 in 10,000 games has an opportunity to build enough drones to reconstruct this drone count, and then just, you know, macro on these bases out, right? Because ColdWarpGates is on one mining base. So if HatcheryCake somehow is able to get his drone count up, get his income back up, and start remaxing his army, he wins this game. But that is dependent on ColdWarpGates, and it looks like ColdWarpGates agrees with this assessment and is he's moving around to really push up this ramp. And again, this is going to be the last fight of the game. If HatcheryCake even barely hangs in, they will be able to win this game. But if ColdWarpGates is able to steamroll over here, kill this base, and bring that momentum down through the rest of the map, they're going to steamroll over HatcheryCake easily. And honestly, this looks like an army that this much Zerg won't be able to fight. In the chat, ColdWarpGates says, it's my I literally can't ever push successfully build. But that is proven incorrect, as this attack will tear through the Hydralisk stationed here. The drones are going to pull and reinforce down on these 2 bottom mining bases. Now again, just killing this base isn't the end of the game, right? ColdWarpGates has to still keep pushing down. HatcheryCake still has technically three bases they can mine off of. Low ground to high ground does not affect, because scarabs are technically melee damage or something. Or no, they're not they're splash damage. They're 100% splash damage. Alright, so ColdWarpGates sets this up. You know what? Technically, it would be worth it to take the space. There is more than 400 minerals here. But again, HatcheryCake just retreats, keeps mining off these bases, keeps building their army up. But they're going to try to push in, and this isn't going to work. There's Dragoons and Reavers and Archons, so this is the game. I think HatcheryCake just staying in just to see if miracles can happen, but today miracles are impossible, and, yeah. Oh! Storm on the Overlords. Just send a message. The Mad Lad ColdWarpGates actually is just expanding to this base. Insane. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, that's the game, though. This many Archons, this many Reavers, there's not a single way Zerg actually gets this. Oh, Reaver. That Scarab tried its best. Okay. Once again, great play from both of our players. Really back and forth match that we had on this map. Eclipse kind of just tends to breed these kind. This is why I think Eclipse is such a good map, is because you have these really quick, really cheesy, like, oh, it's a 2-player map, so you can do like a lot of really fast stuff. I love that Scarabs show up on the mini-map. It's like, for what reason would you ever need to know that Scarabs actually are on the mini-map? But then, like, it's just funny. But again, I love Eclipse. It's a 2-player map, so obviously a lot of cheeses are just kind of enabled by it. But at the same time, you can get these really long split map games that are that kind of always have this question. HatcheryCake GG's leaves the game, and ColdWarpGates is going to take our first game in Group 28 for the day. Let us go back to our splash screen here and list that win for our player, our Protoss player. Our next game is going to be HatcheryCake versus Kaykoose. And we're going to hop right into it. Once again, we're trying to, you know, we're getting through these games, okay? We're getting through them. We are casting. So our next game is HatcheryCake versus Kaykoose in a TVZ. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go ahead and start the replay, get our thing moved over. And this first couple minutes, first couple seconds of the game, I'll be right back. in the top right corner, we have Kaykoose playing as the Gray Terran squad. And in the bottom left corner, we have HatcheryCake representing the purple Zerg brood. And that is a 12 hatch. Nice. Oh. All right. That's 12 hatch, and that is looking like a regular thing. I'm also gonna go get a jacket because I am cold as hell. All right. So it is a basic, okay, Barracks Expand from Kaykoose, classic. And from HatcheryCake, got that lair started. Only one pair of Zerglings, so there's not going to be any sort of like shenaniganry. No, none of the new colors they added have faction names. I generally would, if I think about it like that, I think they're kind of like offshoots of the regular colors based on whatever they're closest to. So like gray is close to white when white is the alpha squadron, so like gray is probably like you know, some sort of like derivative of that if we're going into lore nerd shit. That's how I choose to think about it. But you know, that's up to however you feel like it. Wait, the random. Yeah. So like every red Zerg you play, name the new color factions. I don't have new color that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Okay, gray is let's see, we have Alpha, we have Omega Squadron. The name of unit, new color factions. Alright. This Overlord is new color factions. He NCF for short. Alright, Spire on the way for Zerg, so we're in the regular TVZ stuff. Once that Spire finishes, we're going to see Mutas, and once the Mutas get over here, we're going to see turrets probably thrown up. Engineering Bay should, yeah, Engineering Bay is already started, so once the Mutas spawn, we'll see Kaykoose try to keep track of them and throw those. Oh, well, we'll see the turrets already coming up, so really good timing here. Kaykoose really good, knows when the mutas around what time the mutas should come, and is responding appropriately. Scan goes down, sees the Spire in the main, sees that Spire convulsing, so he knows that. Wait, no, that's not the upgrade. I swear, there is like a slight difference between regular Spire and upgrading Spire, right? Or is Spire just one of these buildings that just looks like this? Anyways, Mutas. Heading across the map. Turrets are up though, to protect the skivvies. The Skvis are going to be safe from the Mudas, and the Mudas are going to get on top of the barracks. Yeah. Well, this is actually terrible for Kaykoose. The Mutas are getting on top of the barracks, which, again, this is not good. HatcheryCake could have kept pressing this issue, right? Like, they could have just turned this into a win by just picking Marines off and then just killing all the reinforcing Marines. So, yeah, this is really good for them. Getting on top. Oh, just the slightest of Muta micro mistakes. They would have been able to kill that SCV and prevented this missile turret from finishing up. Just barely. But Hydroden on the way, so we're going to see the transition into Lurkers coming up soon. Queen's Nest as well. And the Mutas are just going to keep on harassing. But with the 2 missile turrets coming up, the harassment will be at an end. Back at the base, HatcheryCake doing the macro stuff, getting their evolution chambers. Or evolution chamber singular, rather. Kaykoose throws a scan down. Well, he knows... Oh, this is kind of actually cheeky, right? Because you can know... If you're just scanning to see if they've taken extra bases, you get the creep here and the creep here. That's kind of cool. I don't know if that was intentional or if he just didn't, like, misclicked where the 3rd was. But if this was intentional, that's actually a really cool trick to be like, okay, is the Zerg, like, rushing to a 4th base or something? But here's the big push out. And now he's going to have to be very careful. Oh, okay, yeah, really good there. They're on the A move, so that's good. 1 Muta falls, a couple Marines, another Muta falls. Trading Muta for Marine here, not in the Zerg's favor. And as they're going to continue heading out, we see those 2 Stair and Starports started. Again, ooh, this small group of Marines is going to get picked off, but a lot of damage is getting put on these Mutalisks. A lot of them are in the purple. As another round of Marines joins their friends, and they're going to be able to keep pushing across the map. However, Lurkers are finishing, and as Lurkers finish, they can just take up this ramp, and the Marines alone will not be able to get too much done. Zerglings get picked off, stragglers. Ooh, Marines kind of get staggered a little too much, and the Mutas keep doing that damage. Ooh, 2 Mutas fall one after the other, and the Marines push forward, catch a couple of unattended Mutalisks, and they're going to just try and go for it. No, they're not. Not with the Lurkers there. Ooh, Overlord takes down slightly, supply blocks HatcheryCake here. Oh, and there is no Lurker on the ramp. There's an egg, which will take 30 years to kill. Oh, but there is a Lurker up here. So, yep, the top ramp here is going to not be bustable. That's a lot of Marines dying. Mutas get on top of them, take advantage of the reduced numbers, and begin picking off the rest of them. Science Facility almost finished as the Defiler Mound is halfway done, and we're going to be getting into our late game tech for either player. Ooh, again, that's so unfortunate. The Muta Micro is just a little bit off. Like, they're mistimed just slightly, just barely missing those second shots. That would do so much. But a big Zergling force is going to come out and maybe try and surround some of the Terran, or punish this 3rd going down. I don't think that HatcheryCake will be able to get started on any of that, though. Science Facility, researching Irradiate. Psi Vessels on the way. You know, macro is being kept up with by both players. And we're seeing, yeah, another big move out here from Kaykoose, keeping the Zerg on their side of the map, keeping them defensive. Because if the Zerg gets offensive, it's really hard for the Terran to sort of stay in the game. Like, this is all super important to limit, like, the eventual, like, Dark Swarm push that the Zerg just gets to have. And to really, like, you know, force Zerg to build more defenses than they need. Ooh, I love this Marine shaving off to come and scout this base. Unfortunately, we do have lurkers already set up on the ramp here. Okay, so he doesn't quite get to the base, but he needs to really notice that this 4th base is going up. If HatcheryCake kind of holds this, he's into that 4-gas Zerg style, and that is really going to help propel them into the late game here. You know, the Ultralisk Cavern is already made, and when you have 4 gases, you can get Defilers and Ultralisks and, you know, give all your Zerglings a puppy. You know, you just get to fulfill dreams. But with Science Vessels on the way, Irradiate should be done, and they're both getting into the energy. They just irradiate one, wait, irradiate the other, and then they can bust up the ramp and take this hatchery. There's really nothing else here to defend. The Mutalisks are all the way on the other side of the map, and yeah. First irradiate goes down, and that Defiler that is on a timer. Yeah, see, the Mutalisks are going to try to come over, but ooh, they get caught. That is huge for Kaykoose. That might just straight up be the game for them, actually. Losing that many Mutalisks for free, and your 4th base is doomed to fail. Oh, the Hydra's going to move to the ramp to try and morph into a lurker here. Unfortunately, I think there's just enough room for Marines to slip by, or, you know, put down the firepower. Murph. Yeah, we got bunkers and a missile turret, so I don't think this is breakable by the lurkers, but this base is definitely dead. And, these lurkers are definitely dead. The scan will go down. Dark Swarm will save 2 of them, but again, the Science Vessels are here, and they are going to be able to irradiate. Lurkers on the way. Ooh, really great, Dark Swarm. Frog hopping here from HatcheryCake, getting on top of the Terran infrastructure, but again, like, they need the Science Vessels to come out and start limiting the Defiler count, because Defilers are what allows the Zerg to really just you know, bully the Terran like this. Yeah, see, they're keeping all these Ultralisks on the back, and Kaykoose is coming up and ready to try and push the Nat, I think. There's no sunken colonies here to defend, and it's just Ultralisk Zerglings and Defilers, and they're going to really be taxing the energy on the Defiler there. We're probably going to see those Irradiates go down as, okay, Dark Swarm goes down, Marines are going to have to pull back. Unfortunately, they get kind of split up. The Lurker just kind of jingles by them, and no Irradiate goes down on the Defiler. So HatcheryCake is going to get into that, like, absurd Defiler count that lets them do crazy stuff. Instead, Irradiates are going down on the Ultras, which is also still a good play, but at the same time, you're on the back foot, and to be able to get back out on the map, these Defilers have to die, because behind this, HatcheryCake is getting their 4th base up in a different location. And if they are allowed to do that, then again, they're on that 4-gas Zerg, which is the Zerg win condition. Now, all these Ultras, they look like they're going to get picked off, and there's no Defiler. Yeah, all the Defilers, they aren't up with the army. Nope, there are 2, never mind. In fact, a Consume goes down on one of them to save this Ultra, and maybe open up room for more Ultras coming in. Consume could go down on some of these Zerglings, but a Irradiate goes down on a Defiler on an Ultra. So great job play, great everything here from Kaykoose as they are buying time for the battle cruiser tech switch. These 2 guys, dude, this is the best job in the Terran army, being caught behind the academy. All right. Yeah, Kaykoose really just dominating this game. 100 supply above their opponent. And yeah. So it looks like they're probably going to try pushing and taking out one of these fourth bases, they might just try killing the Nat. Oh, a drop went down, bringing HatcheryCake down to 25 SCVs. I completely missed that. I have no idea how that got in there. But with a lot of Scourge left, man, that's a lot of Ultras that could be irradiated. I don't know what these medics are doing. They are just, they're living. Yeah, Kaykoose's army is like all stuttered around. Somehow these drones are getting rallied up to the top here. And again, like these Ultras could be getting irradiated, but you know what? We're macroing, we're microing, we're doing all sorts of things. This battle cruiser's finally coming out. Now again, battle cruisers do need. Let's see. Hold on. Are there any Scourge on the map? Hold on. I don't think. Yeah. So HatcheryCake doesn't have +1 armor on his air units, so these battle cruisers will one-shot Scourge, which gives them a surprisingly long amount of long shelf life. Now Kaykoose really just needs to pick where they want to pick HatcheryCake apart from here. HatcheryCake really doesn't have the income to field a lot of armies, and I think Kaykoose is going to be hitting this fourth base and then moving and then cycling around. Now they have plenty of army here to defend. This Ultralisk attack will get pretty dicey, but Kaykoose has the army to kind of take out this hatchery, retreat, and then maybe cycle over to this fourth here. Yeah, HatcheryCake looking for an undefended fourth, but will not find it. Instead of... Alright, fourth dies here, and yeah, Kaykoose is just keeping tab on the Zerg army, floating these, oh no, okay, well that's fine. And HatcheryCake is trying to cycle down. Oh, all the Scourge taken out by those Marines. Great shots, great accuracy, and the Ultralists are going to come down, and they might be able to shave off these this Marine group here. But these battle cruisers are going to start putting the hurt on HatcheryCake, who doesn't really have the anti-battle cruiser tech. You know, we aren't seeing more defilers being made. I haven't seen Plague has not been researched. And yeah, so these battle cruisers are going to really start taxing the drones of HatcheryCake. Drones that are only at 20. That's a 40 worker lead for Kaykoose. And so I think. As Kaykoose sort of redevelops their army, these battle cruisers are going to really, I don't know, kill the main. I just realized that you can't really see these battle cruisers because they're at the bottom of the map. So here's some battle cruisers. Yeah, a lot of Scourge in production, but again, like, they do one-shot these guys. Yeah. Scourge do not counter BCs. It just is not how that works. See? It just doesn't work like that unless they're already plagued or something and you only need 1 per, and here is the killing blow. Yeah, that's we're gonna see GG here pretty soon. And that is it. GGs are called. Kaykoose, very dominating fashion, takes that game. Let's go back to our overlay. And move us over to... Where is our... Okay, hold on. OBS. And then splash screen 2. All right. Kaykoose with the victory over HatcheryCake.